teams this time around do you feel can aspire to win the Premier League?
2, 3. But that doesn't mean the league's not competitive. The argument, why would you suggest that governance needs to be brought in to the most successful league that has been the commercially most successful league in the history of football? Why are you regulating it? What are you regulating it from? I understand what he's saying is that the Premier League clubs want some degree of control. They want governance. Yeah, they want good disciplines. They want good governance. They want good regulation. Is your regulation with the consequences of the way that clubs are suing one another now, the way that they're suing, the way that Man City have been hauled over the coals and been sat in abeyance for 2 years because you can't prosecute them properly, is that good governance and good regulation? Because to me, it doesn't look like it.
talkSPORT Sports Update with NordVPN. 24/7 digital privacy and protection in one easy-to-use app.
For the headlines at 2 minutes past 10, I'm Tom Clayton. Good morning. Michael Owen simply can't believe Liverpool have gone from title winners to total rebuild in just 15 months. A late Szoboszlai penalty yesterday saved their blushes at St James's Park, earning a point. Owen told talkSPORT he's not buying the suggestion that qualifying for the Champions League this season is enough.
They got into the Champions last season with an awful season, so that really doesn't wash for me. I mean, of course, Arne Slot lost his job by getting in the Champions League qualification places.
He also says Alexander Isak was right not to take the ball off Szoboszlai for the equalising penalty. Hear the whole chat back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. One team who would be happy with the top four finish is Chelsea. Former midfielder Jody Morris told us it should really be the minimum.
Regardless of how poor we were last year, we spent astronomical amounts of money on this squad and we should be a lot better than we were last year. So I think we have to be top four.
Chelsea are at Fulham tonight, live and exclusive to talkSPORT. Now, should we sympathise with Unai Emery over the Ollie Watkins situation? He strongly hinted that Watkins refused to play in their 4-0 defeat at Brighton yesterday, but Troy Deeney's told the talkSPORT's Premier League All Access podcast that Harvey Elliott is proof that Emery himself can be just as dismissive.
While he's a top coach and all of those things are fantastic, if he doesn't like you, he mugs you off better than anybody.
And the Hand of God ball has sold at auction for £2.5 million. It went under the hammer in the US at the weekend, but fell short of original estimates that suggested it might go for closer to £7 million. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
Hundreds of thousands of pounds have been raised for families of two police officers who died on duty in Middlesbrough. And Andy Burnham's touchdown in Kyiv, his first overseas visit as Prime Minister. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza All-Season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Another fine and dry day for many after a chilly start. Feeling warm but with gusty winds across the south and west.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown. We're live on talkSPORT. So despite losing key pillars, can Newcastle point to some positivity in the recent cloud of discontent? Meanwhile, is Ollie Watkins refusing to play for Aston Villa? Also today, how patient are Liverpool fans willing to be with Isak? Who will flatter to deceive more, Spurs or Manchester United? Will bans for deceiving officials lead to greater honesty? And is there anything more predictable than England cricketers caught up in off-field incidents? Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. We're live in talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
So I was sitting in the office and Martin Keown came in about 9:30 or so, I think. Simon, good to see you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Simon strolls in, as he does. But just before Martin came in, Michael Owen walked through the office. And to be honest, Martin, I looked at him and I thought, is it really way back in 2005 when Michael Owen and myself were on a stage at St James's Park after Souness had managed to get him from Real Madrid and he was paraded before 20,000 Newcastle fans?
Time flies, huh?
Is it that long ago?
How did he look?
And it is.
How did he look? I mean, obviously, we've been reading about the terrible plight of his financial affairs for the racing side of things, and he had to do the Masked Singer for money. So, did he look like he had a cup in his hand? I doubt it.
He looked well, actually.
Well, I'm sure he did.
It's a good point. As do you, may I say.
Top player, by the way, Ballon d'Or winner.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day, wasn't long after that. I think he went to Newcastle, admitted that he was never really fit enough after that hamstring went, didn't he?
Yeah. You ever forgiven him for that FA Cup final?
No, that was tough.
The 5-minute final, wasn't it? Very Michael Owen's final.
Should have won that game.
I did an upfront with Michael Owen, and you get an insight into the mind of someone like Owen, and I did one with Fowler, and they had this little rivalry about who was the better player.
Yeah,
and it was a rivalry, but the absolute surety he had in his own ability. Complete single-minded. I mean, I think Danny Murphy's alluded to it a couple of times about what kind of person Michael Owen was. Not from a destructive point of view, but from a very single man. And you sit with him, and he is so confident in himself, in what he was able to achieve. I don't think he had the greatest time in Real Madrid. I don't think the move to Real Madrid was the greatest move for his career because he became a real second-string player, didn't he?
Nor was Newcastle.
But I mean, ultimately, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Man United might have been a decent moment for him.
Jim, I remember sitting on the bench with him in the '97 World Cup, '98. He just burst on the scenes, didn't he? I mean, that Argentina, that goal, the way he ran, he was pretty well unstoppable.
Yeah.
And I think it really affected his game when he had to be cleverer with his movement, should we say, and it was more difficult for him. That pace wasn't quite there after the injury.
Defended against him and Fowler. Who's the tougher opponent?
I mean, to pick between the two of them, it's very difficult. Fowler, I thought, was a better finisher. I don't think he got the credit he deserved. He was a nuisance for us.
Yeah.
You go on first-hand experience. He scored a lot of goals against us, to be honest, far too many. Probably Owen gets it just for his pace and what he did for his national team.
Yeah.
Which Fowler was never really able to replicate that form for the national team.
Yeah. Going to hear from Michael Owen very shortly on Alexander Isak, amongst other things. Very interesting view he had on him. Some game yesterday, Simon, wasn't it? Newcastle, Liverpool. Yeah. What a match. What an atmosphere. But I popped it out on Twitter. What a tribute to Kevin Keegan.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because it was amazing to see the reaction to Kevin Keegan, the emotion. Having worked with him and not had a chance yet to talk about him, I simply came into the game, Jim, because of Kevin Keegan. He was my idol. And that was difficult. I actually got that out of the way when I first worked with him, to say, let's get this out of the way. And I just found a real people person, fantastic to work for. And an outpouring of emotion yesterday. It was unbelievable how the footballing gods have come up with Newcastle, Liverpool, first game of the season. The Kevin Keegan derby. Yeah. As if in a way that we can then, show what he meant to us.
Quite a remarkable man. I mean, he was very friendly with some of my very close friends in Spain, and I got to meet him on a couple of occasions. There was a possibility that he was going to do an upfront that we tried to orchestrate, but it didn't work out because he wanted to keep himself out of the public domain, not prior to the illness that obviously he ended up passing away from. But I remember growing up, like Martin does. I'm a little bit younger than Martin, but at the time, Superstars was on television. He was part of that.
Come off his bike, didn't he?
He come off his bike. He was the one that took the move to Hamburg. He then come back to Southampton. Who comes back to Southampton? A superstar.
They kept that quiet as well.
Absolutely. And he's, the England captaincy in '82 when he wasn't fit, but ultimately him and Brooking and whoever else there went to that World Cup in Spain. And he was an icon. And we've seen so much footage. He was so influential in Fulham and their ascent. And of course then Manchester City and all the roles. And now, we can talk about what the shortcomings were in England and so on and so forth, but that's not where this person should be seated in.
Yeah.
A unique character. And that team, and now you're seeing all the tributes that come out. And I watching the documentary last night on Sky, and John Beresford spoke so very well about him and the experiences they had there, and Les Ferdinand was talking about it, and Ginola and all the players that they had there. So as Martin says, only football really can do that. Football has a very sentimental heart at times.
Yeah, John.
It was as if he
big fan of John's. Morning, John. I know you listen every day.
He was, one of these guys who lived in the moment. He had an ability to stop time in that moment and say, we'd be chatting about stories, and he'd say, one day, guys, we'll be talking about this. Think about it. Enjoy today, because it won't be here forever. He just seemed he went in and did jobs, didn't he? Wherever he went, he was really impactful, completely turned it around. I mean, when he went to Newcastle, he was saying there's only one set of fans that could be better than Liverpool's, and it might be Newcastle's. And you saw that yesterday.
Right.
The atmosphere was quite
It's a good point, Martin. They all came together yesterday, Simon, at St James's Park. Two brilliant sets of supporters. And boy, did they applaud
Jim, later in this topic, we're talking about, Isak and what they call him now, the fans. Look at Kevin Keegan, who went to those two great... Why can't you play for two great clubs and get the respect from the fans?
Oh, no, it was the way he left Newcastle.
Yeah, I know that. But we go too far. Alexander-Arnold. We've got all these situations.
Keegan came from a different generation and a different perspective. And the perspective of Kevin Keegan was very different because he came across as somebody that people could relate to. He didn't elevate himself above status quo. And so he had an everyman feel about him with a superstar touch. And so that's a different genre. And we've now got players that have a very different outlook, a very different disposition, a very different... The media would have been just as harsh.
Yeah, but it was painful for those Liverpool fans when he decided to up sticks and go, didn't he, to Hamburg?
Yeah.
Kenny Dalglish came in. But in the end, they put that to one side. When he returned there, they would treat him like a god,
Yeah. What we do know is over the weekend in the Premier League, 9 clubs out of 20 began with somebody new in the dugout. Can you believe it? The most new managers on any opening weekend since 1946-47. And no, I don't remember that season. But is it promising, Simon? Is it promising to live up to the billing of the most unpredictable season yet? I mean, who knows how long any of these managers will last?
I think every season has its own narrative at the beginning. Every season has an element of unpredictability about it. Every season has its own challenges and foibles and nuances and context. I mean, obviously, a lot of these are not managers that have been fired. These are managers that have gone and chosen to depart. So you've got empires being rebuilt at Manchester City, opportunities being created at Chelsea, new regimes at Liverpool and Newcastle, and so on and so forth. And you've obviously got big articles being written over the newspapers about what's going to happen with the ownership of Newcastle and what that didn't and hasn't done. So, of course, I think it is one thing that the Premier League does is give you intrigue and gives you controversies and gives you talking points that aren't just always about what's on the field, because a lot of what we talk about is off the field activity because the sport is so big now and there's a big space for both. So I think it does. I mean, the one thing, and I don't really care if people bristle about the narrative, if they think it's a narrative. I still maintain that the team that's in the best position to defend its Premier League for some time is Arsenal. They've got stability, they've improved, they've got the monkey off their back. So whether people like the terminology, it's there to lose, I don't really care.
But as a media man,
I don't think you were wrong when you said it last week, Simon.
You're
right.
But as a media man, and you say you don't like sensationalism, but I would have thought that you'd have said, well, look, who's going to survive that? Because we've got like 60% of the Premier League now new managers. We've got 2 managers who will have their first full season potentially, Deserve and Carrick, if they survive it. And it would be like, okay, who's going to be the first casualty out of this lot? Because I think this is the most unpredictable Premier League I've ever seen because of the instability that we have at the football clubs. No one here, I mean, I'm looking across the board and people are going to have to wake up in the next 2 weeks. Your old club, Simon, Palace, need to do something quickly because, it's underinvestment. You might say it's good trading, getting money in, but when does it become underinvestment? They've got to wake up here. And there's a few clubs would have looked at that first match and thought, we're in a little bit of trouble here. We need to do something.
Well, it looks like less time last year. What was the first game of the season? Aston Villa got pumped 4-1 by Newcastle. How'd that work out for Aston Villa and Newcastle?
Yeah, but they're successively letting top players go to the extent where Ollie Watkins is now saying, do you know what? I don't want to be here anymore.
Well, the interesting thing is the terminology that you use, because letting people go as opposed to people having the ability to get out of contracts because option fees are there and because release clauses are there, are not the same thing. And also going to the governance that has been orchestrated by clubs like yours, which it puts clubs like Aston Villa and Newcastle into a situation where they can't
Arsenal
compete.
don't set the rules, Simon.
No,
they work within the constraints.
Arsenal are part of the cabal. It's well established. Everyone knows this. All the elite clubs in Europe all the elite clubs in the Real Madrid, all these guys, these are the architects behind.
Well, then
fair play.
later in the program we'll find a solution to that, and you put that brain of yours to try and find that solution, so that we can have clubs. We can have
feel
clubs.
like a task has been set by me.
No, yeah. Well, why not? Because we need to find some way that some balloon payments. Some of these
you have
clubs.
to start the premise.
The status quo doesn't change.
The only way you can acknowledge something that's wrong by starting with the premise, acknowledging that it is wrong. And people are beginning to do it now. People are beginning to pull back the veneer and say, well, hang on a second. This can't be right.
Yeah.
Why can't we join the club that Arsenal and Liverpool and Manchester United and Man City and Tottenham are in and Chelsea are in? Why can't we join that club?
Particularly when you've got owners.
The reasons why we can't join that club is because you're not allowed to. Now that people are beginning to accept,
we're not allowed to because of the rules the rules that have been set, Simon. Haven't they? So the clubs are working within the constraints.
When you look at rules, the most important thing to do is work out why they're there and who they've come from, and then you can work out what their motivations are. And the reasons why these rules are there is because the big 20 or 30 clubs in Europe that are already established in a position that don't want other people coming to take their opportunities have gotten together and influenced the thinking. And that's why you've got it.
Well, there are a few people,
undebatable.
A few dugouts that we didn't expect to be there. As I said, 9 clubs out of 20 began with somebody new in the dugout. So it is a season, I think, of expect the unexpected. But maybe the only thing we can look at is the virtual certainty that Arsenal will be there or thereabouts. And maybe that strengthens, Martin, the idea that Simon had last week that this is Arsenal's title to lose. Anyway, a lot to get through. And it was a tough old day, was it not? A hard day for Alexander Isak to get through up in the northeast yesterday. And Liverpool fans, he's your player now. How patient are you willing to be with this man, Alexander Isak? It's Monday morning. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, live on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
We're due to talk about Spurs now. O'Hara was meant to be here, Jason Cundy, but apparently he's bottled his chance to plug your show. What? If you're not watching but listening, you've put on a Jamie O'Hara mask. Is that a new thing? I mean, that's quite horrific.
I don't know what it looks like. How does it look?
What do you think it looks like?
No, I can't see myself. Does it look like O'Hara?
Have a look at the monitor.
By the time I do that, I turn away.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it looks ghastly, and I never use that word. Yeah. Have you put it on before?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I've worn it before.
It's
so
vile.
Weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. So do you want to pretend he's here?
I can pretend he's here.
Okay,
yeah.
let's
Shambles! Shambles!
Good team. Why is he not here? I heard he stormed out the studio again yesterday.
Last night, honestly.
Soon it's going to be more of a shock if he's
I talk about Spurs.
Take the mask off, for God's sake. Yeah.
Honestly, when we talk...
Oh, put it back, put it back.
Put it on. I love getting into him about Spurs. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And he was saying if they buy Savinho and Mamouche, they're guaranteed top 4, top 2. And I'm like, come on, mate, come on. The Ange mask will come out, and it just grew legs and arms. The thing, and it exploded.
You got many more masks?
No, yeah, we've got Benty mask.
Have you?
No, you don't. No.
Don't wear him in a bank.
Do you know what happened though? Here's what happened with the Ange mask. We bought it last season when he took over at Forest, and we ordered it from I think South America. By the time the mask turned up, he'd been sacked.
morning, everybody. Monday morning, August the 24th. We're almost into September. Can you believe it? Deadline day next week. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. Fans of various clubs telling me it's going to be a great season for them. There's John, Swansea fan. Solid start for the Swans. 4 points out of 6 with a great win against Stoke and a decent draw against Sheffield United. Onwards to Derby this Saturday lunchtime. Everybody loves it that the season is back. And I loved it. Yesterday, parked myself in front of Newcastle against Liverpool and lapped it up. Loved every moment. No doubt the whole of the country did, because those who were lucky enough to be there witnessed an incredible atmosphere. And of course, in no small part due to the tribute, which was wonderful by both sets of fans to Kevin Keegan, as we mentioned previously. The big thing about Newcastle is Eddie has gone, Eddie Howe has gone. In comes a new fella. But can Newcastle, Martin, point to some positivity in the recent cloud of discontent? And it has been a recent cloud of discontent, has it not? Newcastle fans not that sure in which direction the club's going to go.
Do you know, I thought yesterday, obviously it was a fantastic tribute, first of all, for Kevin Keegan. Then the team seemed to feed off that, Jim. But this is a counter-attacking side. And it was interesting to see Elanga. I think that might have been his first goal for Newcastle, Jim. The way that he broke, that's more typical of how he played for Forest when he was at Forest. So maybe we're going to see a bit more of that, where Newcastle don't have quite as much possession. But certainly their front three have got an awful lot of pace. And there's kind of an expectation at Newcastle built off the Eddie Howe years. It's not as strong a group. They're going to have to build again. And we've talked about this already. That's such a shame for the football club that they've lost such an incredible midfield that they had, and Isak, of course, they've lost also. But they came back fighting yesterday, and I thought there's a lot of hope. I thought Lewis Myler in midfield was outstanding. Looked great. Looks like he's going to be a decent. I felt sorry for Hall giving the penalty. I thought it was a penalty.
Yeah.
Right at the death. They look strong in all departments.
Johan Wissa, what a performance!
But everybody on the pitch that's it. Jim, they don't have the depth now.
Yeah.
And this is where they're going to have to buy players between now and we've only got a week or so left of the transfer window, but they're going to have to spend. But I don't like the way that this is a very wealthy club, Jim, and this is the argument now.
It's got very wealthy owners.
It has, but it can't spend the necessary funds that it needs to challenge for a Premier League trophy, Jim.
Simon, looking at Liverpool from Slot to Iraola, how different were they?
Well, I mean, the central theme is always about the people that don't perform, rather than people that did perform on the day. I mean, look, first games of the season are absolutely meaningless, because if you get a promoted side on the first game of the season playing at home, you get a completely different set of circumstances than when you play them 3 months later. Playing on the first game of the season with the sun shining down on teams, with reasons to be motivated, you've not got all the adversity of Premier League football. So put aside what what Hull did, with all due respect to how delightful it is for them to have beaten Man United, and put aside what Newcastle were able to achieve in that performance and where Liverpool might be. You've got a new manager in the door. It's very early days. They're rebuilding a team to some extent because some of the component parts have gone out of it. The focus will be on Isak. If you don't get the ball to Isak, what can he do? If you don't we talk about how many touches he has. Now, we can look at his movement, we can look at the challenges, we can look at Neville's comments about how much he cost and how much the other kid cost at Liverpool and what they are and aren't doing. But the manager when he went into Bournemouth, they sacked Gary O'Neill, this guy. And everybody went, "Ooh, that's a strange move." And when Bournemouth started underneath him, the first 4 or 5 games, it looked like they picked a wrong one. And then all of a sudden, he took off. And the players,
9 games before he actually won again.
And the players got what he wanted. And Liverpool will be the same. They had 27 shots on goal yesterday. Liverpool. You know, despite the fact that we are focused on what they haven't done, it is the first game of the season. There's nothing to be read into it, either positively or negatively.
Let's talk about Alexander Isak, the rat, as christened by the Toon fans yesterday. I wonder what kind of length of time Liverpool fans will be prepared to wait for until this fella really begins to show what he can do in a Liverpool shirt, as he did in a Newcastle shirt. And so many Newcastle fans, because of the way that he left the club, rounded on Isak yesterday. And boy, did they let him have it. Michael Owen was in breakfast this morning, and this was him on Isak.
I had plenty of injuries in my career, so I know how hard it is to get back, and you do need a bit of time, and everybody's given him time and understood that, but then he's sort of finished the season, then he's gone to the World Cup, and now he's had a pre-season, and you just think, okay, now we're starting to run out of excuses. We need to start seeing the real Isak, and we know how good he is. I mean, wow, we saw him for Newcastle. I mean, he's absolute class. But we haven't seen it for Liverpool just yet. And I think, questions will come now. As I say, always give him the benefit of the doubt in the past with Liverpool. But at the start of this season now, we're expecting, and Liverpool absolutely need him. They've lost Salah, Ekitike's out. There's not that many options in attacking areas. They absolutely need him to be on top form. Yesterday, he was far from it. I thought he was a yard off, and that's worrying.
How long will it be, Martin, before the old Isak can rediscover himself?
Well, I think he's got the support base around him. He needs to stay fit, of course. They've got to manage him. There's obviously an injury issue with him, getting him absolutely right. I do see him coming through. Jim, the thing he has, which frightens all defenders, is pace. He's absolutely rapid. And maybe that was the worst possible game for him, playing away at Newcastle, first game of the season. He'll be off and running, don't worry. They play Forest next, another team that has a newness with Glasner going in there, didn't lost at the weekend. I think he'll be able to exploit defenders as this thing unfolds. And I do feel Areola is an outstanding manager. 9 games before he got a win at Bournemouth, by the way. He's slow to make his work. They didn't press in the way that he wants. He's going to have to work harder. I don't know if he's fit enough necessarily to play the way the manager wants to, but that'll come from after the games.
Were you both surprised that when penalty Liverpool was given right at the death, it was Szoboszlai, but were you both surprised it wasn't Isak who stepped up?
I think they did the right thing, Jim. I think it would have been... the atmosphere. You could just imagine if Isak steps up to take that ball every time he touched the ball. But look, Szoboszlai, I mean, what about that for a penalty and a man who's really in the zone and wants to win? Didn't even hear the whistle go. He just banged. That's a goal. I mean, that's the most
emphatic. Was that not the moment for Isak to give it back?
No. That was the moment for his colleague to step up for him in that moment.
I don't know who is the penalty taker for Liverpool.
Well, Isak takes them, doesn't he?
Right,
really?
So Isak possibly should have taken it, but if he'd have had a good game, maybe they would have asked him to take it. And maybe there was an element of insulation from the circumstances. But I mean, I think that's relatively ridiculous what Michael said. He's had 1 game this season. Yes, okay, he's been injured for the majority of last season, started poorly because of his own behaviour, because of Newcastle's failure to manage the situation better, and Liverpool's inability to come to the table and do a deal properly. It all became a situation that drew it out, and he behaved poorly. He then had a collision injury, so he's injured himself. He's now fit. He's fit. So he's had 1 game. 1 game. We can't judge him. When we get to the end of August and he's played 3 or 4 games and he's stunk the place out, then we can start saying what Michael said, which is, hang on a second. Of course he's got to start performing, but he's been injured. So we've got no reference point. We've got nothing to really say about what he did at Liverpool because he had no real run in the team. And if Liverpool aren't going to play in a way that suits the player that they've bought, which is get the ball to him, then I'm not entirely sure what you're supposed to do. What's he supposed to do? Put the ball up on the edge of his 18-yard box and run the length of the pitch, and someone's going to be happy with that? He's not Heung-min Song, is he? He's a centre forward. And so, with due respect to it, I look at it and say, yeah, is he? The question for me is, big players would have embraced that opportunity yesterday and gone back to Newcastle and wanted to prove a point. So is he a big game player? Is he a big club player?
I think we saw that. We saw that in Newcastle.
Should he not have demanded the ball?
What big games has he been at Newcastle?
Well,
big club?
Okay, I take you back to the semi-final Arsenal League Cup. You can say, look, it's the first thing they've won in 52 years or whatever it was at the time. And Isak was, he was at boiling point. He was ruthless.
When you play for Liverpool, you're expected to win. You're expected to be a top player. When you're at Newcastle, people anticipate and hope and will you to be such. And they expect their club to do it. When you haven't won anything for 70 years, it's a different feeling than
you're
when
now
you go
contradicting yourself because you said, look, we need to give him time. We need to be patient. And I'm convinced that he will be a success.
I'm throwing all arguments into the equation. I'm throwing all parts of it because it's multifaceted. It's not one or the other. It's not a case of judging on one performance, but also if you're a big player, a really top player, you've played with them. You know what they look like. You know what they think.
Top player gives you consistency, and that's probably lacking from it. It's an interesting watch, but I think he's going to be a big force in the Premier League this season. But yes, they're going to.
He's going to have to be.
It definitely will be.
But let's put it out there as we hit the break.
Like to see them get what they deserve.
Well, there is that argument as well, Simon. I know what Newcastle fans would like to see in Alexander Isak, but what do Liverpool fans want to see? I know what you want to see, but how long are you prepared to wait to see it? I mean, how patient are you willing to be to give Alexander Isak the chance to get back to where he was at Newcastle? And that was top. That's why Liverpool bought you. Is that still there? Is the old Isak still in there somewhere? Liverpool fans, how patient are you willing to be? Give us a call, 03717 223344.
You finished 9th.
Yep.
You come on talkSPORT and said that Chelsea are going to win the league.
Yep.
Who's the idiot?
We've got a manager that knows how to win a league.
No. Who's the idiot?
Won the Bundesliga.
I don't care. Who's the idiot?
What's the Spursy one? What's the Spursy ever won?
They finished 10th. Sorry.
10th.
Correction.
I know.
You finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
Mate, you finished 10th.
You'll take our place.
All right? And you come on talkSPORT and said that you're going to win the league.
You'll take our...
I don't think I'm an idiot in saying that Spurs can finish in the top 4 if we sign for Savinho and Marmoush.
You'll take our place.
So,
Roberto De Spursy.
There's only one mug here, and it's you.
Roberto De Spursy, he'll take 10th, mate. That's a good season for you lot. Mate, you'll take that. Jay.
Don't
100%.
Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me. Right? Don't Jay me.
Jay, 100% you take 10th. I'll give you 10th now. With 10 games to go 10th. So you've not got to sweat like you did last season. Sweating over the last couple of games. Are we going to go down? Oh, no. We go, oh, no, we'll go down.
Mate, you finished 10th.
Yeah, I know we did.
You literally finished 10th.
Yeah, but we've got a manager that knows how to win.
That's almost like you spent £1 billion on a football team and finished 10th.
Another billion.
Right, who's more embarrassing?
And we're going to win it.
Who's more embarrassing?
Do you know what we should do? We should go for Savinho and Marmoush. Then we'll definitely win it. Put that in the Todd.
Keep.
Would you, mate? Don't start getting.
No.
Don't.
I really want to swear at you, but I'm not going to. Right?
Don't, Jay. Take. I'll give you. Okay, here we go. 10th. Yes or no? Yes or no? Jay. Yes or no? Take 10th. He's going to take 10th. He's wrong there. You got to take 10th.
News. A very good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT. Here with the news headlines. I'm Amelia Beltrao. The government's telling social media companies to take down videos that encourage dangerous driving. It's after 2 officers were killed when a car carrying 5 young men drove the wrong way down the A66 in Middlesbrough as they tried to evade police. Some of the passengers' social media accounts appear to show previous police suits set to rap music. It was only a week ago when 5 teenagers died in a similar incident on the M9 in Ireland. Well, Defence Secretary Luke Pollard says social media firms must act.
There is content on social media today that celebrates that type of appalling driving. Social media companies could take it down today if they choose to. They know what's on their platform. They know how their algorithm works. Take it down.
Elsewhere today, the Prime Minister has arrived in Ukraine on his first overseas trip since taking office. Andy Burnham's reveals a British defence company will share technology, allowing Ukrainian manufacturers to build long-range missiles. Now, figures from Nuffield Trust show 600 dentists have left the NHS in England since 2017. That's almost 1 in 10. The think tank says the government needs to make the work more attractive to dentists or risk NHS services dying out altogether. And Reform UK says if it wins the next election, it will prioritise British-born young workers for social housing. But the homeless charity shelter says the move would be a blatant distraction from the real cause of homelessness.
talkSPORT Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
Michael Owen says Liverpool should aim higher than just qualifying for Champions League, and the Hull City captain says it's on them to stay up and they can't rely on others falling by the wayside. Thomas Moore at 11.
Here's that. Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary Test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. And thanks to talkSPORT, visit Victoria. You could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for 2 to watch the 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Monday morning, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. We are talking the events of St James. We're talking in general terms the events of the Premier League over the weekend. The Premier League is back. But at St James's Park, we saw Newcastle, who looked like they were about to beat Liverpool, ending up with a draw 2-2 against Liverpool thanks to a last-minute penalty from Szoboszlai. Could Isak have taken it? He could well have done. Would he have liked to have taken it? I'm not so sure, because throughout the afternoon, Alexander Isak, known as the Rat now, as he's been christened by Newcastle fans for the manner in which he left their club to join Liverpool, he got it hot and heavy all afternoon, all day long from Newcastle fans. How long will the Liverpool version remain a shadow of the one that we saw in a Newcastle shirt? Can the old Isak be rediscovered? And Liverpool fans, how patient are you willing to be? Game one or not, it's about time this guy really starts getting into a rich vein of form like the one he showed at Newcastle, is it not? Marwan's a big Liverpool fan. Good morning. How willing are you to be in terms of your patience level regards Isak, Marwan? Good morning.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me again. For me, Isak is a top striker, one of the best in the world. The only thing, we can be patient, but as long as he is not injured. If he's not injured, I can guarantee you he will score at least 15, 20 goals a season, easily. Premier League goals as well, not even the Champions League. For me, last summer, it was catastrophic in terms of recruitment. Mike Edwards and Richard Hughes, they messed all our summer. Spending £450 million, we'll see the consequences this summer, next summer, probably for the next 2-3 transfer windows. Because instead of spending all that money on 2 strikers, we could get another 6. Yesterday, we could see with the obvious. The problem was the midfield. We don't have number 6. I don't care about the strikers. I care about the midfield. If we on the counterattacks, we will get goals. We're going to concede. I'm sure the goals will come in. The striker, Isak or Wirtz, they will come good in the future. But it's a number 6. We miss a number 6.
Martin, you sound pretty pessimistic about recruitment in general. What do you think, Martin? Has he got a point?
Yeah, he has. I mean, I'm just not sure Wirtz is if it's the right makeup for the midfield. There's a lot of Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch. There's a lot of distance for those two to cover when they play with a player off the front, rather than a sort of more of a midfield 3. So that's an area where they could strengthen, Jim.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. They look a bit vulnerable defensively, and they're all trying to press. This manager wants to press high, doesn't he? So, they like that 10 to go and join to create the 4 at the top when they press, and then. Perhaps it's an area they need to invest in, and obviously Ekitike came in last year as well. That seemed strange that they bought 2 strikers, Jim, of enormous talent, but maybe that was an overspend in that area.
Okay, Marvin, thanks for that. Lewis, big Liverpool fan. How willing are you prepared to be in terms of your patience regards Isak, Lewis?
I'm not going to lie. I feel like I agreed with Jordan. I'm happy how he's been so far in the World Cup. I feel like we need some new wingers. I think Ria Ngamoa didn't have a great game on the right side. I think Lewis Hall had him in his pocket all game. I think he's better off the left, to be honest. We need a new winger. We did spend a lot last summer, but at the same time we're all looking at Isak. What about Wirtz? He's a similar same price tag. We're not having a go at Wirtz, are we? And I feel like we've got to give him some time. First game of the season against Newcastle, to be honest, he's going to be hard work for him.
Yeah.
Against his old team. And I agree with Szoboszlai. Not taking the pen. I think Szoboszlai should have took the pen.
Okay.
If he didn't take it, yeah.
Okay, Lewis, listen, thanks for your points. I don't know, Simon, you say it's the first game of the season. The first game of the season. Yeah, it is.
Simon said
it's a very, very important game.
Simon said it was meaningless.
The tone.
Simon said it was meaningless.
Well, it's far from meaningless.
It can never be meaningless.
It can never be meaningless.
You justify that, Simon?
Yeah, because I think you can take little meaning out of it. That's what I mean. So when you look at Newcastle beating Aston Villa 4-1 in the first game of the season, how much meaning did that have to the season that Newcastle had and Aston Villa have?
But Simon,
Aston Villa went on to win.
The first game's as meaningful as Game 5.
Well, it's not.
Which is as meaningful as Game 10.
No, it's not. But it's not an indicator of what's going to come. So follow the logic. It's not difficult to follow. If you look at the first game of the season last year, Newcastle had a stinker of a season. But they started the first game of the season by smashing Aston Villa 4-1. Aston Villa started with people going, well, what's going on over there? And finished in a Champions League spot and winning the Europa League. So tell me how much meaning the first game has.
But tell me it's not going to be meaningful today with Unai Emery in that dressing room and the impact that results had on them. That this is going to be a very meaningful week, isn't it? To get it right.
Point.
To get it right on the back of that result. So you can never really say that. I understand what you're saying, that look, we need to create, we need some balance. We need some balance in obviously, I mean, we were looking at Spurs, we're going to talk about Spurs later, but I think what it demonstrates is who has like got the best pre-season under their belt. Each player needs to be like at boiling point when the season starts.
On game one.
On game one. And every single game, I mean, Brentford obviously battered Spurs and bullied them, and now that's a worry.
Yeah, of course. Now,
and that is meaningful.
If Arsenal had started poorly, it would be meaningless.
Why are we bringing Arsenal into
because there's a double standard in the thinking behind things. Everybody knows there is. Every game has an importance.
If you want to win, Simon, you have to be ready for the first game.
We're trying to put into place is that it is so meaningful, and I don't. So by logic, now Hull are going to stay in the Premier League. I would wager you they're going to have a bloody difficult time.
Well, 10 more wins.
One more, yeah, and fantastic, great, absolutely. Where are you going to get them for? Fantastic to have got a win against Man United, but it doesn't tell me that Hull are going to stay in the Premier. I hope they do, because if one owner deserves it, it's a tune of the Carly.
Well, we're going to speak to him live in the show later on, about 12 noon for that. Simon, here's one for you regarding Newcastle. Are PIF heavily the Saudis, in other words, are they heavily invested in Newcastle after all? Saudi Arabia's PIF fund believes Newcastle are now worth more than £2 billion, having paid around £350 million to buy the club in 2021. The Telegraph reports that PIF's commitment remains, quotes, enthusiastic and steadfast. And sources say it has no plans whatsoever to sell. Newcastle recorded revenue of £335 million in 24-25, the eighth highest in the Premier League. So they are there and there to stay, it would seem. They say their commitment's enthusiastic and steadfast.
The interesting thing would be, I mean, obviously 6 times the revenue that's a reasonable metric, is what clubs deploy when they're valuing things. Let's see someone being prepared to pay £2 billion to buy Newcastle. Because right now, the only time we've ever seen a football club be sold for any significance was Chelsea. That's the only club that's reached that, and of course the deal that was done by Jim Ratcliffe on Man United. But Man United are a very unique business. Why they get books written about them, calling them the world's biggest cash machine. Newcastle are not that.
But they're moving along all right, are they not? Newcastle complete an agreement on a new £190 million training complex.
Last week we were painting a picture that it was all doom and gloom for them.
They're also well, you were. You were questioning. The Saudis' commitment.
I didn't question the Saudis' commitment at all. I talked about the fact that they haven't pushed the envelope, but I've talked about consistently that they can't.
Did you not say last week you thought they might sell?
Yeah, I think they may well sell.
Well,
everything's for sale. Your house is for sale. Everything's for sale. Liverpool for sale.
But that, in other words, questions their commitment long term.
Not really.
They're saying their commitment is enthusiastic and steadfast. In other words, we ain't going to sell.
Okay, well, then follow the logic. Tottenham's for sale. Everyone knows it's for sale. So why are they spending £300 million on players if they're for sale? Because in order to be for sale, you have to make sure that the best version of yourself is available for someone to buy, right? So just because you're for sale, if you have a house, you don't suddenly let it run down, do you? So
right, but specifically on Newcastle this morning, do you think they're there to stay, the Saudis?
Who knows? I mean, the idea that you can compete in football and achieve things is something that they're finding that they can't do. They can't go and do what their predecessors could do.
Yeah.
Newcastle have the means, it would appear, because of the ownership and not because of the club's natural resources, to be able to buy who they want, as other clubs have done, as Chelsea did in 2003, 2004, as Manchester City did post-Tiawanatra. But Newcastle can't do it. So what is it they're after now? What is it they want? And also, ownership models are different. Abu Dhabi has a very different mentality from Middle Eastern outlooks than Saudis do.
Well, I think what they're looking to do, they just spent nearly £200 million on their training pitch.
Yeah.
Which is they're looking to bring that up to speed. Okay, that's one thing they're looking for. And they're going to develop St James's Park. They may even, they looked at alternatives to move. I don't believe that's possible. But to obviously, they need more of a turnover. And they feel that they can generate maybe 200 million more between now and the end of the century.
They're not going to get any more turnover by building a training ground, are they? Well, they are going to get more turnovers by building a stadium. And that's going to take 5, 6, 7 years.
So I think they're demonstrating they're willing to spend money. And they need to have a look at the restructuring financial fair play, because at the moment they can't change the status quo.
I don't know how much money Newcastle have made. I mean, like last year they sold a load of money.
Wasn't it turnover of 350 million or something?
Yeah, but that's turnover. That's not how much money they've made. Right? So I don't know how much profit they've made. I don't know how much cash they've got about them. They sold Isak for 125 million. They've sold Guimieres. They sold a bunch of players.
Well, that's why they're having to sell.
But that complies with PSR. But PSR and cash are two different things, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Adhering to the accountancy principle and having working cash are two different things. So if Newcastle got a big bowl of cash coming in from transfer fees, but they can't spend it because of the capitalisation, they can use that money to build training grounds. So how much of that money is coming in from the owners?
The Greenwich Gunner. Not even 15 minutes into the show, and we're already using PSR as an excuse. The Premier League is about as competitive as it ever has been.
Not to win, it isn't.
Well, we have had 3 different winners in 3 years. Brighton, Palace, Brentford going on their first European campaigns as well. Palace and Newcastle winning domestic cups. West Ham, Palace, Villa, Spurs recently winning European cups. The middle tier of the league is as strong as ever.
Yeah, it is.
Have there ever been more diverse spread of silverware? Well, he's not wrong on that.
You can participate, yeah. You can participate in a European Conference League and in the Europa League. This is not competing against English football clubs, by the way. This is competing against European teams that we already know that the middle tier teams in English football dominate.
The last line's good in this one. Never thought Simon would be a cheerleader for excuse culture.
Who can win the Premier League? 3 teams have won it in the last 3 years. 3 teams that have got the 3 biggest turnovers in English football. So they're part of the cabal that only can win the league.
Okay. In the meantime, the Saudis say they are committed to Newcastle United. What's Ollie Watkins up to at Aston Villa? Is he refusing to play for the club? We'll look at that next.
So this summer has gone from bad to worse for Villa. Unai Emery, Morgan Rogers and Yuri Tielemans already gone, of course. And now it looks like Konza, that's the big one, is on his way to the Arsenal. Let's bring in another Gabby, who must be delighted. Gabby the Gunner, who has called us in 03717 22 3344. Gabby, a very good morning.
Dry your eyes, Gab. I know it's hard to take, but Concer's made his mind up. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Dry your eyes, Gab. I know you want to make Concer see how much his pain hurts, but you've got to walk away now. It's over. Sorry, Gab. And Alan, welcome back, sir.
Thanks,
I'm
mate.
so pleased you've got a fit bill of health.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
No, I'm good, Gabby. Thank you very much, mate. I was missing this, so I'm back.
Missing you.
He's not missed you, mate.
Missing you, Alan.
He ain't missed you, Gabby.
Oh, he always misses me. It's you he doesn't miss, Gab.
Well,
Come on,
can
bruv.
I ask you a
I'm
question,
Gab in
though?
Essex.
You
Go
know,
on, mate.
spending what you spent again this summer, is the minimum Champions League and Premier League for Arsenal?
Oh, Gab, listen, you've got always got him make a
I'm
great
asking
politician,
you.
wouldn't he, Alan? He really would make
I'm
a
asking
great
you.
politician.
Are you closer to winning the Champions League with these signings?
I still think we're short of one exceptional striker. I think Osimhen, Alvarez, that's kind of the missing link. It could be enough with Solis and with the guys we've got.
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. And thanks to talkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for 2 to watch the 150th anniversary test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Good morning to you, Ollie. Ollie, who I met in the street this morning. I think he works in security. The back of his jacket told me that. Good to speak to you, Ollie. I know you enjoy the show. Another Ollie is in the news this morning. Ollie Watkins. Aston Villa. Where was he yesterday in that lineup? Ollie Watkins seemingly left out of Aston Villa's squad amid continued interest from Saudi club Al Hilal. Aston Villa faced a nightmare start to the season. They were 4-0 down at the Amex to Brighton inside 31 minutes, and that ended up to be the final score. It was 4-0 to Brighton. But it was a dreadful afternoon, not just for Villa, but for the travelling supporters who went down to the South Coast. Unai Emery refused to answer the question of whether or not Watkins had made himself unavailable for this one. This was Unai Emery, pre-match, speaking to Sky Sports.
Supporters will see there's no Ollie Watkins in the squad. What can you tell them about that? Is that the end of his time here? Silence. Does that maybe suggest something?
No. We are the players we are today here. It's okay. We are not speaking about.
So, 90 minutes later, and 4-0 to Brighton, Unai Emery again was in front of the Sky Sports cameras, and he was asked whether or not the decisions for Watkins not featuring, not playing, was his or the players.
And this question is for him. So can you call him and make a question to him?
So that confirms it was not your decision, it was his decision.
Ask him.
Is it disappointing the way it's ending?
I only can answer it by silence.
So there we go. Simon, what's your reading of it?
No idea. I have no idea why Ollie Watkins isn't playing, because the manager didn't tell us. And he doesn't want to give the media any opportunity to build out a narrative, so he'll let them make it up for themselves. So he doesn't want to comment on it. Now, whether that's right or wrong, probably the more sensible thing. I don't know why. Ollie Watkins doesn't strike me as that sort of player. Doesn't strike me as the sort of player that will behave in a manner which is unprofessional and unbecoming of a professional footballer that has a responsibility to honour his obligations. I don't know the mechanics. We're seeing Saudi clubs offer money for a player that Aston Villa have every right to ask for a greater valuation of. It's their player. They can ask whatever valuation they want. They're under no obligation to sell him unless they've had an agreement with him. I would like to think that a player that's come up the way that he has, through Exeter into Brentford, that's played at Aston Villa, always been a credit to himself, wouldn't down tools. I don't know what I think of managers playing hide and seek with the media in that respect. I understand why they do it, because he wanted to talk initially about the players that he selected, because what is the purpose of talking about a player that's not selected? That's of no benefit to anybody besides headlines. It doesn't help his team win a football match. It doesn't help the players that are on the field, and his job is to try and create an outcome. The media's job is to try and create content. So he didn't want to give them that.
Yeah, obviously it's a news line before the game.
Yeah, but he's
and it's an even bigger news line after the game, after they lose 4-0.
How he responds to it is his prerogative.
Yeah, if it was Unai Emery's decision to not have him in his team, he probably would have said that.
Maybe, but I think it's, besides the fact that it's a story that the media wants to have, it's relatively incidental to Unai Emery's world and what he's trying to create for an outcome of a football match. There's nothing in it for him. There's no gain in him for him to be able to say to the media, well, the thing is, this little sod down tools. There's nothing in it for him to do that. There's lots in it for the media, because it'll be all over the back pages of the newspapers about another footballer behaving in a certain way.
This is obviously, we've talked a lot
He's
about...
a good lad, Ollie
We've
Watkins.
talked a lot about financial fair.
On a number of occasions, a good
Yeah,
guy.
I agree with that. And I agree with that. It's never a good look, though, when it looks like you're not, wanting to play for your football club. But obviously there's circumstances that surround all of this, and it's the financial fair play, and it's becoming a theme this morning. But look, I've suggested that Aston Villa.
What's financial fair play?
Just 1 second and listen
for Aston Villa.
Just for a second, listen. Right. So we're looking at a situation where the manager has traded very well for Aston Villa. Right. Successively, he's had to lose top players, Jim. So Duran has gone. They lost Diaby. They lost Douglas Luiz in midfield. These are huge amounts of money. Okay, you're in that dressing room, and successively, you're seeing player after player leave that dressing room. Now, they try to create competition for Ollie Watkins and made him feel a little bit maybe that he's not quite the number one striker. Maybe, that's just maybe, Jim, right? Now, the clubs came calling for him in the past. They blocked deals. He wants to go. He wants to, because he's seeing what's going out the door. But Aston Villa are having to trade because we find ourselves in this position of financial fair play, and we're talking about turnover, expenditure on wages to turnover, and Aston Villa push that to the boundaries, and then they have to sell big
you think
every
he's losing
summer.
faith in the Villa project?
He is 100% losing faith.
Morgan Rogers gone, Dina gone, Tielemans gone, Konsa gone.
Of course he is, Jim, because look, if I was having to
is
work...
that your half-assed way of justifying a player not playing for his club? Is that what you're doing in that conversation?
No, it's not half-hearted.
Well, it is, because
I am
you're basically
telling
saying
you
that Ollie Watkins has a right. He blocked a move. What moves did he block?
Well, he might be
The 45
questioning the
million
ambition.
Arsenal
He might
offer
be
the last ever
questioning...
transfer window.
Just, Hyman, just for a second. Just let him... I'm building an argument. He might just be questioning the ambition of the football club because he's seeing all these players leave.
By doing what? It's by refusing to play?
Well, because he's thinking, well, okay, I might as well take the exit door myself. Make me one of those players then that sorts you out for financial fair play. Because you're letting all manner of players leave, but you're not letting me go on to further my career. That might be the situation.
Okay, so what's that, a justification?
You take that, no, but you take that as one of the, that could be the possibility, Simon.
That a player has the right to dictate to his employers that he doesn't like the club's choice. Right? You used a couple of examples.
Konsa's gone, hasn't he? Tielemans is gone. Morgan Rogers is gone.
They had Tielemans. They all had release clauses, and all those release clauses, from my understanding, were met.
But nonetheless, it's devastating for the players that remain, isn't it?
So what? Do your job until
there's a matter of this circumstantial that all these players are leaving. He wants to go as well. But I don't condone. He should play.
You're trying to give us a reason here, man.
I am.
But you're not saying that he's doing that, are you?
They're winning trophies.
You're not justifying him.
No, I'm not trying to justify him. I'm just saying that might well be the possibility. They've won the Europa League. They're back in the Champions League. You lose the first game of the season 4-0. That is not meaningless. That's a huge blow to what they're looking to achieve this season.
Simon's point, Martin, is it's not within his gift to say if indeed he has.
No, that's where he's wrong.
Boss, leave me out.
That's where he's wrong. And the manager should just come out and say it. If I'm now there today, I'm saying, well, you should just say you had the microphone. You should have said I didn't want to play. If that's what you felt. And that's how it is.
Maybe it's more complex than that. And maybe we don't know, and we can sit here like talking heads ruminating as much as we possibly can.
But Unai Emery's in a massively difficult position because of he has to balance the books every year.
That's the rule of football.
And it's the rule, but it's unfair in this situation. It feels unfair.
Striker. Manzambi, Maggio and Tammy Abraham all out injured, so they had no recognised striker.
No, and he's saying, isn't he, that Jackson is being lined up, and when we get a replacement, what he has said now is, when I get a replacement, you can go. So that's an extra step forward.
Might get Villa fans reading of this. If indeed you want to volunteer your thought on it, by all means do. 03717 223344. What is your reading, Villa fans, of the Ollie Watkins situation? Do you think he is virtually down tools until he gets a move to this Saudi club, Al Hilal? Or do you think there's more to it? Give us a call and let us know what you think at 11.
And 2 weeks today, the transfer window closes. Would you anticipate much more business in terms of incomings between now and then?
Well, you can see the league, how unpredictable the league is and the amount of things that can happen on a day. So it's better not to talk too much, be prepared, be open, and hopefully we can wrap up the transfer window in a really positive way.
You were speaking before the Community Shield. You were asked about your long-term future and contract negotiations, and you said there's nothing to worry about, Arsenal fans. Do you see yourself as somebody who can do what the likes of Guardiola and Wenger and Ferguson did and stay at the club for many years and build a dynasty?
I want to do what I'm capable of doing and what is the best for the club. And I feel very, very happy and grateful to be sitting where I am with the people that I work with every single day. And my ambition is to continue this way.
Was it strange at Cardiff on Sunday that you weren't facing Pep Guardiola in the dugout, given that rivalry that's developed and obviously your relationship with him?
It was different. Obviously, I know Enzo really well, but obviously the relationship that I built with Pep when we work with each other, and then yeah, the amount of headaches and sweats that he has provided to me over the last 6-7 years to try to catch up to the level and the standards that they set in the league has been an absolute inspiration. I think he's left a benchmark and a mark in this league that it will be history forever, and he made us, I think, all of us better.
Have you had many conversations with him since the end of the season, since you were crowned champions?
I had, and I have due to have an important as well in the next few days, and I'm looking forward to it.
talkSPORT Sports Update with NordVPN. Connect and protect your online traffic with our most advanced VPN.
With the headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Tom Clayton. Good morning. Michael Owen has told talkSPORT it's frankly unbelievable to see Liverpool in the situation they're in. Crest of a rebuild, a new manager and tough 2-2 draw away at Newcastle to start the season. All this just 15 months after winning the title under Arne Slot.
There's so much surgery that needs on that team. And it was such a great team not so long ago. Why? How has this sort of happened? It's unbelievable.
He also says Alexander Isak was right not to take the ball off Szoboszlai for that equalising penalty. You can see the full chat back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Elsewhere, top 4 is a must for Chelsea, so says their former midfielder Jody Morris.
Champions League places, I think, is the minimum, and I'd like us to go and challenge in the domestic cups. One game a week is as easy as you can get it, and I'm delighted that Alonso is going to have an easier ride than most Chelsea managers as far as his first year.
Chelsea kick off their campaign at Fulham this evening, live and exclusively on talkSPORT. The whole City captain has told us a win over Man United last weekend was a dream start to life back in the Premier League, but Louis Coyle says the players have to step up for the rest of the season.
We're very, very lucky. We've got a fantastic owner, fantastic people at the club that will do everything they can to give us the best chance, and then it's over to us lads on the pitch and like you say, in that squad to do everything we can to keep this club in the division.
They face Coventry next weekend, and Gianni Infantino has suggested some of his opponents don't want global football to grow. Alexander Seferin has once again called for him to step down or face a leadership challenge in March. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The government's urging social media companies to remove content that shows people driving the wrong way down UK roads. And the Prime Minister's arrived in Kyiv for his first overseas visit since taking office a month ago. Amelia's back at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Sort your new tyres this summer at a time that suits you best from the comfort of your home or work 7 days a week with our mobile tyre fitting service. Conditions apply.
Another fine and dry day for many after a chilly start, feeling warm but with gusty winds across the south and west.
Good morning, everybody. 6 minutes past 11 o'clock this Monday morning. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown. We are live on talkSPORT. Also coming to you live on your TV. We're live on YouTube. Wherever you want to watch us, we are live for you. Samsung TV Plus. You can watch us on Roku, Rakuten, and various other devices. Prime Video as well. We are live and in vision between the hours of 10 and 1 every weekday morning. A lot to get through. Argentina's players and staff have been handed bans totaling 21 matches following the mass altercation after that World Cup final defeat to Spain. We'll get into that in a bit more detail further down the line. For the time being, we're talking about Aston Villa. They go to the South Coast at the weekend. They took on Brighton and they lost by 4-0. In fact, it was 4-0 at half-time. Unai Emery picked a team without a recognised striker, due in no small measure to the fact that Ollie Watkins was not around, not available. Where was he? That is the big question. Ollie Watkins seemingly a target for Saudi club Al Hilal, and seemingly wants that move to go through. So, why did he not feature? Whose decision was that? Was it Ollie's or was it Unai Emery's? And if it was Unai Emery, why did he not confirm that yesterday, either before or after the match, when he had every chance to do so? What do Villa fans think of this non-appearance of Ollie Watkins? Steve's a big Villa fan and joins us live. Steve, good morning. You're through to us. What do you think of it?
Morning, guys. How are we all?
Good, thank you, mate. What's your take on this?
Listen, I'm just massively disappointed and saddened by the whole thing, you know. Ollie's been with us 6 years, 100-plus goals for the Villa's top Premier League goal scorer. And, like, you're kind of ruining your legacy, aren't you? You want these players coming back as a hero. And, listen, we'll probably never know the truth, and it's probably 6 and 2-3 somewhere, but... Listen, there's a way to leave a football club, and this isn't it, is it? Because all it's doing is antagonising your fan base, and it's just not a great look, is it? And it's really sad.
Steve, thanks for your thoughts. Aaron, I don't know if you share the same thoughts as Steve on that one. Another Villa fan. Many Villa fans trying to come to air, and you're one of them. Aaron, good morning. What do you think?
Yeah, morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Good morning.
I just think it's a real kick in the teeth, purely for the fact that, you know, the Villa fans, the Villa players have all stuck by Ollie Watkins when he's been in a bad run of form. He's been sulking when other players have been there. And then when we needed him the most, when we had no fit striker, he decides to go on look like a family barbecue, what I saw on social media. No, it's just not a really good look, is it?
It is not. It is not. I mean, Martin played the game at the highest level. If indeed it's Ollie's decision to say, I'm not available, this is going to stick in the throat.
We're speculating, aren't we? We're speculating.
We are speculating.
Because the manager didn't clear this up. But I suppose it's looking like that. And that's the one area that I think you always have to pull the shirt on. You always have to go out there and do what you need to do for the team. And then you hope they find a solution. But I was trying to give maybe a background to this. And Aaron, it must hurt when you lose the likes of Morgan Rogers and Konsa and Tillemans, all these really good players. Is hard to take and accept, but I suppose you support the manager because he's done an incredible job at Aston Villa with one hand tied behind his back, by the way, Jim. Maybe 2 this year.
But Martin,
but you have to play. You have to offer to play.
Absolutely has to support them because he's paid by the club.
Yeah, of course. He may have been here many times before. It may have looked like he was leaving, but you pull the shirt on until they find a solution. Look, it's a matter of time before you leave that club anyway, and it's how you behave. The supporter's right, Aaron's right. You know, I don't like talking about legacies, but it's like you want people to speak well of you when you leave a football club. You want to leave your mark there, and that is all forms of behaviour. And this is your exit. It's just as important of when you arrive. He's looking like his time is on borrowed time.
Yeah.
But he can't not play for the club.
There's big talk about Al Hilal, and there's big talk that he's going to go to Saudi. But Simon, here's the thing, and I stress that. I mean, for what it's worth, I've met Ollie a couple of times, 2 or 3 times, and he's a delightful lad. Having said that, if it comes to light that he made himself unavailable in an attempt to push through a move to Al Hilal, what's your thought on that as a former owner?
Well, it's de rigueur, isn't it, for players now? But when you talk about players being allowed to leave, i.e. having their release clause triggered, it's one thing comparing players going to Chelsea and to Manchester United to a player that's going to Saudi for simply money. So the motivations that Ollie Watkins has are not genuine football motivations, they're purely financial benefit. So that's one categorisation of a player's mentality, which is disappointing because you think he was going to Arsenal or Liverpool or Manchester United and he was really desperate to go to a bigger football club to further his career. You could say, well, hang on a second. There has to be some degree of balance in the conversation, and if the club decides you can't go, then you've got to get on with it. I can sit here and I can ruminate. Where's the union? The PFA and the people that are supposed to be able to say
we have to say
these things are wrong if they're behaving.
We are speculating. I mean, I'm just looking back through. He didn't seem to appear for the PSG game. Wasn't on the bench. Obviously, didn't start. You know, I don't know even if he's fit.
Well, that would be easy answer.
Do you know,
wouldn't it? That would be an easy answer.
It would be.
There'd be no controversy. There's no controversy in Unai Emery saying players not fit.
Yeah,
if he wasn't fit, that would be the thing.
He certainly couldn't be fully fit because he's not really featured in the pre-seasons.
Jason's a Villa fan. Jason, where are you at with this, mate? Good morning.
How you doing, lads? All right.
Good, thank you.
I'm fuming about a whole lot, to be honest. It's all down to PSR. Do you think we would have sold our heart of our team if it wasn't down to PSR? And it's just there to protect the so-called top 6 teams, and everybody is just ruining the dreams for the players and the fans. My dreams are shattered now because half our team has been so successful over the last few years have all gone. Now, Ollie, I'm angry with him if he has down tools. He shouldn't be. He should be more professional. But at the end of the day, if all your teammates have been sold and gone for more money here, there and everywhere because of PSR, then why don't you blame him? If he wants that move, for a big money move, why wouldn't you? Football's a short career. But at the end of the day, PSR is a stupid rule. And I'm not too sure. I hear whispers who voted for PSR, and I believe Villa was one of the teams that voted for PSR. But why? I don't understand it. It's like, is this the way football's going to go forward now?
Okay, Jason, well, it's a regular topic on this show, as you know. Meanwhile, Simon, over at Palace, Jean-Philippe Mateta is challenging the validity of the final year of his contract and has taken his case to FIFA. Mateta joined Palace January 2022, 4.5-year deal, which contained an option for a further 12 months. Palace activated that option in 2024, meaning his deal currently runs until June 2027. Mateta says that the optional final year should be void. The precise legal basis for that claim has not been made public.
You would have thought he would have said it at the time they triggered it. Maybe he did. Maybe he said internally, I don't recognise the validity of that option, and we didn't get to hear it because there wasn't any issues in the camp. It was just a big surprise. He wants to leave. We all know he wants to leave. He wants to leave. He wanted to go to Inter Milan, failed a medical. So the reasons why he didn't go out the door in January is because they couldn't get the deal across the line because...
AC Milan.
AC Milan, sorry. And I suspect that probably AC Milan would have said, we'll take him for less money, and Palace went, go away. He either has a point or he doesn't. I mean, the contract either defined... When we've seen administrative errors at Palace, you know, we saw they're booting out the Europa League because they couldn't deal with their affairs. He either has a point or he doesn't. And if his contract, when the option was triggered in 24, it's like a defamation claim. If you suddenly get defamed and a year, 18 months later you say, aha, I was defamed. Well, how can you claim damages? You let it go on for 18 months. If you were damaged at the time, you sue for damages. So it would seem like if somebody triggered an option in 2024, at that time, he would have said and must have said, I object to that option. And we've not heard it as yet.
Yeah.
And Palace have kept it under wraps because they've been trying to sell him. So the player wants to leave and he'll go to arbitration. It'll be determined. And the interesting thing will be is that hopefully Palace have done put him on a proper contract that means that he's got to do as he's told. And then we'll see how he plays and what tools he downs.
And it's just, as always with these things, though, Simon, the supporters, Martin, end up in the middle of it all, bemused. I mean, Mateta was booed by some Palace fans on his return before turning it around with a goal in the Conference League final.
Yeah, I mean...
Villa fans are bemused as to what the Ollie Watkins situation's about because nobody's telling them because the club's closed ranks.
Yeah, and he's on the way to AC Milan. He's about to do the deal. He's been replaced back at home. Palace have brought a new player in and he's about to do it. And then by all accounts, I don't know who makes it public that he fails his medical. Makes it very difficult for him then to move again, Jim. It's an unfortunate situation, but they're so short of players at Palace, they certainly won't be letting him go. And we talked about that at the start of the show about, you know, Palace looked like they got 43 points last year. And can you see them getting 40 points after their performance this weekend? I don't see that, Jim. I think they're in grave trouble.
Are they one of your candidates to drop?
No, they weren't because, you know, foolishly, I made that decision before really looking very closely at it. I assumed the 3 that came up would go straight back down again. And I saw signs that that's not going to happen this year. And if they keep winning those bottom
Palace were all right, actually, on the weekend. I thought they weren't bad. I thought they'd played against a very good Everton side on the first game of the season, full of beans.
All right.
They still need to freshen it up some.
We'll see where the Palace situation with Teta and the Villa situation with Ollie Watkins goes. So we're live with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade goes.
Spurs fans will be on salty crook. You're still bitter from the Europa League final. I just think they've overspent Tottenham. I think they've gone a bit mad in the market.
Talking of which, hello, Kate.
Hello, guys.
Hello, Kate.
Oh, we've missed you, Kate. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Good to speak to you, Sam.
Nice to speak to you.
What about me and Crookie, Kate?
Oh, Gabby, it's not fair. Nothing's fair. It's not fair.
That's a good accent, that is.
I have never heard in all my years of being a Tottenham fan such salty, crying, pathetic whining from Villa fans as I have at this moment. Your owners, Gabby, have got the opportunity to do what Tottenham have done. Why not build a big stadium? You've got, I think, as far as I know, you've got a piece of kind of parkland near Villa Park.
I like the heritage that Villa Park has got, to be honest.
Well, you can't have your
Well, then you're never going to be a big club. You can't have it all, Gabby.
I think Villa are a bigger club than Spurs. Come on, let's not get silly now.
I'm just laughing at you. You're so funny. We finished 17th and we made 187 million more revenue overall than you in 24-25.
That's because Beyonce loves to come to the Spurs Stadium for gigs.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter how you make the money. It's about making the money.
I love Beyonce to come to Villa Park.
Aston Villa, by the way, did a load of concerts to try and raise revenue themselves. They did that, actually, over the course of the last couple of years, which is great for them.
I agree.
But they do need to invest in the infrastructure around Villa
course.
Park, which is going to take time. Do you have to just understand that that is going to be the case?
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary Test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. And thanks to talkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for two to watch the 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Quite an opening weekend, was it not? Manchester United went to Hull and lost. Spurs went to Brentford and lost. Begs the question, who will flatter to deceive more this season? Tottenham Hotspur or Manchester United? Hull owner Achune Lekali is going to join us about the top of the hour, 12 noon. On Tottenham, so much has been made that post Daniel Levy, Tottenham, the owners seem to have found the checkbook. And they're spending, like, as Simon might say, like drunken sailors. But they're certainly recruiting and spending big money. So big things under Roberto De Zerbi are expected of Tottenham this season. I know it's only game one, but they went to West London, took on Brentford, and got turned over. This was De Zerbi.
We are not in the right point in physical condition for a lot of reasons. For the players, they came late after World Cup because in Australia we couldn't work in the right way for the trip, to don't take risk for the a lot of things, but are not excuse, are the normal situation when you are building a new project, a new process. I don't want time, but we have to pass through these problems.
So he recognises, there's a problem or two. It's obvious there's a problem or two, but it's early. But we've got to do something about it. 17th last season, Martin. Expectations obviously were heightened, especially when they started spending in the way they have. How realistic are the heightened expectations when you look at Tottenham right now?
Do you know, this is hugely disappointing for the Spurs fans. I know a few Spurs fans live locally to me, and pre-season it's like conditioning. We start looking at each player, and we start to go through it. Tonali didn't play in the World Cup, by the way, so you're looking at him and saying, well, we can't really point at some of those players. They've had 8 weeks. The Scottish team was, 8 weeks ago? They went out of the World Cup, Jim. So there's plenty of time for most of these players to come back in. I think there was only 3 or 4 involved in the game that were in the World Cup anyway. They're really undercooked, and they were absolutely battered by Brentford. I mean, we should be mentioning Brentford really about how well they played, the intensity of their play,
will. Yeah.
Balls into the box, the power that they had, pace, wide position. Shada, fantastic performance from them. They're streetwise, Brentford. These are proper men who are out there doing their job. There's a long way to go for Spurs to convince me.
You say they're undercooked. What in?
Well, there's a responsibility,
in mentality, in fitness.
Well, in all areas, So it didn't look like tactically the press that they had. They didn't go and press together collectively, so they misunderstood that. They got beat up a little bit in the challenge. They weren't winning enough balls in the air. They looked second best in the duels. It was a really bad afternoon for them. And there's a long way back now for them to put that right. It was a bit of an embarrassment for the manager. And then you look at the personnel and the changes, and you're looking, well, where are the Kudoses and Kulusevski, and where are these players? Are they going to come back from injury? So what are we doing on the medical side to get them back? It didn't reflect well on the club at all. And it had been hugely disappointing for those Spurs fans who went there. I think it was a little bit embarrassing. Archie Gray, 20-year-old player, picked as captain. I don't think he featured in the final 6 games of last season, Jim. Take nothing away. He's probably not ready yet for that. And you start to, you pick a winner, you pick an experienced player, perhaps to be your captain on the day. And I'm perplexed at the team he picked. And then, of course, the performance, and we shouldn't be surprised with what happened then on the pitch.
I mean, it is perplexing for Tottenham Hotspur fans, Simon, isn't it?
Disappointing, I suspect. They're not a team, though, are they? I mean, Brentford, Martin is right. People have got to get out of their heads that going to Brentford is a game that bigger clubs on paper can win, because Brentford are a really, really good side, and the seeds of that, ironically, were started by the man that's commenting on football that managed both clubs, Brentford and Tottenham, Thomas Frank, and Keith Andrews has taken it on and kept it going and taken it to another level.
It's done brilliantly.
So they've done brilliantly, and Tottenham going to Brentford is a very, very difficult game. And Martin picked up on the points that Serbi was saying. It's ridiculous to suggest that Tonali can't be fit because he hasn't done anything in the summer.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see why Andy Robertson wasn't brought in and made captain of the club. You'd expect him to perhaps be a senior player, but he doesn't have the relationship with the club that gave him the captaincy. They were poor, and Brentford were very good. And De Zerbi will build his team, or he'll be out the door, and the big fat salary that he's been given, that he was very fortunate to get, because he isn't the 3rd best manager in the Premier League by any shake, will have to come to some sort of justification. And the spend pattern of Tottenham, don't get carried away by how much Tottenham spend. Their net spend is no different from it's been for the last 2-3 seasons. Now, if they get the Sandro in, yes, it'll take it a bit bigger. But they've sold 160 million pounds worth of players. So to go and spend 260 million is a net spend of 100 million quid. In the net spend last year was 120. The net spend when Levy was there was 130 the previous season. So we're in the same territory. Just the headline numbers look slightly different because the optics are being presented by the Tottenham board slightly differently.
But it's unusual that the amounts they're spending, Simon, is it not 100 million, 85 million on players?
Market, isn't it?
Club record.
They spent 70 odd million on Dominic Solanke 2-3 years ago. The market has gone up a level. You're now paying.
Yeah, but ironically, the best player on the pitch, Sangari, they paid a lot less for him, Brentford. And he completely ran the show.
Yeah.
So like recruitment is important.
But if you'd have stuck Sangari into Tottenham's side, he probably wouldn't have looked after the player. He's playing in a team that knows what it is, and he's doing a job. So we see these players that come in, Guy, why would Tottenham spend £75 million on a player? And they buy Brentford by 39 million. They go and buy the player from Brentford, and he doesn't perform at Tottenham. So it's about the environment that you're in.
But the manager has to create that environment, doesn't he? So he's had long enough in the building, identify who are my leaders, who's my captain, You know, and I might have to play people that aren't fit, Jim.
He's had 5 games.
5 Bentancur, he's saying he's not fit enough to play.
He's had 5 games.
He's had 5
competitive
games. He
games.
played Burke Valley instead of Bentancur. And Jim, he has to start with, he has to realise that, okay, they're going to have to get fit in the games here. I want to start with my strongest team.
But Martin, you can't, with respect, you can't possibly know more than he does about his players. So he must have taken a view that we can easily criticise now because the outcome has not proven to be the one he wants to, but he would be making decisions about his players and seeing that the game that he saw in front of him had to be played in a certain way. And
but the club has taken a commercial decision to take the team halfway around the world to Australia, you know, in preparing for a new season. So you have to look at professionally, the club has to get into the right area, doesn't it? It's not, how can it do that to handicap the team? He's alluded to it because he's not happy with it, and it wouldn't have been. But he has to deal with it.
If he won that game, you wouldn't have heard about it.
He'd have to deal with it.
The fact is, would you both have expected better than what you saw from Tottenham? And I think the answer.
I'm not surprised that they lost.
Oh yes,
I'm not surprised that they lost, but the manner.
Not anything away from Brentford though.
No, the manner in which they lost surprised me.
Right,
there didn't seem to be any fight or any change in gear, or the mindset hasn't changed. It's exactly the same. A soft underbelly from Spurs, and they're going to have to eradicate that very quickly.
And both of you think they'll do one hell of a lot better than 17th.
Well, do
the
players
still
are now
have
buying?
heightened
Yes.
expectations that they might be top half. Then they might be top 6.
No, I'm thinking top half of the table. I'm not saying they're going to be, you know, it would be a surprise. They could do 6th, 7th, but they're going to have to improve massively, Jim, from what we saw at the weekend. And where are these players that have been injured for so long? Look, there's an awful lot of players.
Fit, isn't he?
Van der Ven wasn't available, Jim. You look at the back four, there's hardly anybody playing from last season. So they're facts, but get them fit then. Let's get them out there.
We saw Newcastle yesterday and how they went about it.
They're at home.
We saw they're at home, yeah. But we saw Tottenham and how they went about it. It was chalk and cheese.
But I think this is great for De Zerbi because he'll sort the wheat from the chaff. And for me, I don't have any expectation of Tottenham. They're not my football club. So, I don't particularly admire their board and I don't particularly like their manager. So I don't have an objective view. So I'm quite happy to see them struggle. But that's me being mean-spirited. But you would, for the Tottenham fans, who are plenty of my friends are Tottenham fans, you've gone to Brentford. You've been battered. You could have got beat 7.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't have been a surprise because they were that dominant. They missed the penalty. They had other chances, Brentford.
Yeah.
A lot of that is because Brentford are a really good side, and playing Brentford away in the first game of the season gives you a false sense of security. Because you will think.
I did tip Keith Andrews to be potentially the manager of the year at the start of the season. I looked at Brighton as well and thought maybe that might be something that they could do. But I've gone with the manager because I think there's stability there. They didn't lose too many players like they did in the season before. Visa went, didn't he? Mbomo went as well. And they look like a really strong outfit. They're being able to build, and they've got good players. Don't worry about that.
They were on it. That's the thing, Simon. Game 1, yes, but they were Brentford were on it.
But they've got continuity. They've got continuity. They've got stability. They've got decent players. And the only thing that will change is the manager starts to get tickets on himself. If he keeps himself real, if he keeps the fundamentals of what got him the job in the first place, which has got him success, and doesn't start buying into the nonsense that we will help create, that he's a wonderful manager and he should be given all kinds of opportunities elsewhere, he will be all right.
There's good variation in the way that they play.
But it was there with Thomas Frank as well.
Yes, but I think halfway through last season, I think Keith Andrews realised, look, if I let them play, this lot can play.
Okay.
Whereas before, I think it wasn't quite there.
We're live in talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse, where the trade goes.
Boys, how you doing?
Yeah, very good. Good to have you on. What do you want to say?
I just want to say this stinky Arsenal chat from you boys this morning is nothing short of comical.
Go on.
Gabby saying that Arsenal should be winning the league with our spending. Well, both of you. Recruitment's a big part of it. Look at the likes of City. Well, not City, but the likes of Chelsea, United. They've spent loads of money. It's not a given that you're going to win the league. I think we've proven, the culture Arteta's built alongside getting the right recruitment, bringing Berta in. It's impressive.
Yeah.
So you don't think the money that you spent, you should be winning the Premier League?
I don't think it's got anything to do with the money. I think it's got to do with the quality. I think the quality of your squad is so good that you should be winning the league.
It costs a lot of money.
Definitely.
I agree. I agree. And that says more about the recruitment than just pure spending. Obviously, pure spending comes into it, but it doesn't mean that it's a given that we're going to win the league. Or I think we will win the league, but it isn't just as simple as saying we should be winning it. Arteta's not that good of a manager because of the spending.
Who said that?
Disagree with that. Well, that's what the sort of the signs I was getting from Gabby before. It was sort of like he should be winning the league.
No, when I'm saying you should win in the league, have you spent wisely? Yes, you have. Have you spent on players that have become fantastic players? Yes, you have. But you can't look at Arsenal's net spend over the last 6 years is nearly 800 million. You can't look at that and say, well, you know, we shouldn't be winning the Premier League.
Sport News.
Good morning. You're listening to talkSPORT. Here with the news headlines. I'm Amelia Beltrao. Social media companies need to clamp down on accounts promoting dangerous driving. That's coming from the government. It's after 2 officers were killed in the line of duty on Saturday morning when 5 young boys in a vehicle drove down the wrong way of the A66 in Middlesbrough as they tried to escape police. While some of their social media accounts apparently show their police pursuits with rap music in the background. Conservative MP Tom Tugendhat wants to see TikTok completely banned.
It is not about freedom of speech, it's about national defence. We should be very clear, TikTok is not welcome in the UK.
To Kyiv now, Andy Burnham's there in his first overseas trip as Prime Minister. He's giving Ukraine the blueprints for long-range missiles, which could strike Russia with more precision. Burnham's described Ukraine's fights like our war with Nazi Germany. Ministers are being warned NHS dentistry will cease to exist unless it's better funded. Latest figures show at least 600 dental practices in England have left the NHS since 2017. That's almost 1 in 10. And a new daily weight loss pill is now available in the UK in their pharmacies. It's currently only available via private prescription, though. But drugs company Eli Lilly says it is in talks with the NHS watchdog about rolling it out on the health service.
talkSPORT Sports Headlines with Bostik. For professional grade sealants with easy application and a perfect finish, pros trust Bostik.
Michael Owen can't believe what's happening at Liverpool, and Chelsea at minimum have to qualify for the Champions League, according to a former midfielder of theirs. Max has more at midday.
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary Test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. Thanks to talkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for 2 to watch the 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Monday morning, BetMGM joiners. Alex Licence is with us. Alex, good morning to you. Let's look at the odds changing at the top of the Premier League table, if indeed they are.
Morning, guys. Yeah, well, there's only one place to start, really, isn't it? And that's the only Premier League to win on the road this season, of course, my beloved Leeds United. Now, 20-1 for top 4 after being 33-1. So get the value while I can is all I'll say. But yeah, no, in all seriousness, we have seen quite a bit of movements in the market just after one game. So Arsenal, they're now odds on to win the title, 9-10 from 5-4. And despite the late turnaround, Man City, they've drifted a pinch from 7-2 to 4-1 to win it. I think maybe fair after that performance yesterday. Liverpool out to 7s from 5-1. And Man United, the biggest movers in that title market after a shocking display at Hull. They're now 12-1 after being 7-1. But we were speaking in the office this morning, and Tottenham was our main talking point. They've moved out ever so slightly from 3-1 to 4-1 to finish in the top 4 after that display at Brentford. But the thing that sparked debate here was what you briefly touched on a minute ago, is Archie Gray captain in that side. I mean, obviously as a Leeds fan, I've got nothing but love for Archie Gray, but should he really be skipping that Spurs side? But you look at what De Zerbi said. So he said that they've got a leadership group of Mickey van der Ven, Pedro Porro, Ben Davies, Maddison and Gray. So all players who've been there for a few years, and I get that Gray is the only one out of that group to start, but there's probably another discussion on the back of that. I mean, Martin, you've been in very successful dressing rooms, of course. Spurs have had 2 horrendous seasons for their standards. Would you not, as a club, want some fresh input in that leadership group, surely?
Of course, because you start again. But, you have to, obviously it's a big day for him playing against his old club. So maybe there was something in that where he wanted to honour him. Obviously, he's been in a family of illustrious Greys that have played for Leeds. So, you look at that situation. He's playing against Brentford. But, I don't know why he did that. I mean, I think if I'm going into the building, straight away I want to identify a captain. So maybe I'm looking at Robertson on a free transfer. I'm looking at Gallagher, Tonali. I'm pinning it on him and saying, okay, you've got the experience. Come on, we need you to drive it on. Not to give that to... It's quite an honour. Maybe it says an awful lot about Archie Gray. So we shouldn't really be coming for him. And it's not... But it didn't work. It didn't work at the weekend, and it lacked leaders.
Matter, Martin? Cesc Fabregas was 21, I think. John Terry was 23.
No, but when Porro comes back, the Spanish World Cup winner, is he even going to play in the team? So, or is he now going to then move him into a central midfield position? I think not.
Right.
So you wonder if there's any rhyme or reason for that selection, and then we start to question the manager.
Okay, what about any changes of the odds at the bottom of the table?
Yeah, not as much movement at the bottom end in that relegation market. I mean, despite the dream opening day for Hull, they are still 1-4 to go down. But what start for them? I mean, they say, don't they, usually need about a point a game. So a little bit of a head start now. With Coventry up next for Hull, there's a genuine chance of them going 6 from 6. I think it's fair to say on Coventry's behalf, their season probably gets underway properly against Hull, because that was a bit of a baptism of fire at the Emirates. Ipswich, they've nearly doubled in price now to go down. So after that win against Sunderland, out of the 3 promoted teams, they look to be giving it the biggest go, especially financially. It looks like they're going to spend close to 200 million. So of course it could end up in tears, but they're certainly showing some ambition. Elsewhere, Fulham, they've come in 4-1 from 11-2 without kicking a ball. Simon's Crystal Palace, they've come in to 4-1 as well from 6-1 after that defeat at Everton. But for us, the talking point, or for me personally, the talking point has to be Sunderland outside the promoted teams. They massively overachieved last season, and you're looking at the business, they've done very minimal business. They haven't really strengthened that squad that's going to have to cope with Thursday, Sunday, once that Europa League gets underway. We've got them as short as 2-1 now to go down. Do you think, is that a fair price? Should Sunderland fans be fairly worried, do you think?
I'm not sure Sunderland should be concerned. Simon, are you?
Yeah, I think they should be concerned, because you've seen it in previous clubs where they've gone up. They've had this wonderful first season, Sheffield United being a case in point a couple of years ago, and then the following season they've gotten worked out. Now, I really like this manager. I mean, I think they've done a remarkable job with him. No one would have ever picked him to have been Sunderland manager 2 or 3 years ago. He's taken them from one division out of another into another, done really, really well. I mean, they got out of the playoffs by beating Chris Wilder's side. In the final, didn't they, Sheffield United, when everyone expected them to have been beaten by Sheffield United, and they performed. Granit Xhaka was a key component part of that. He was expected potentially to have left.
To keep him, wasn't it?
And everyone thought he was leaving, and he stayed. I mean, Sunderland were good in this game. This was a good game of football between Ipswich and Sunderland. And if Robbery had been a little bit sharper, they probably might have got something out of that game.
He's a handful, by the way.
He is a handful. I mean, somebody you probably wouldn't have liked to play. You're a strong centre half. You'd have been all right with him. But he's a throwback.
You wouldn't want to fight with him too much.
He's a throwback centre forward, isn't he?
I think Sunderland will be okay, but that is a wonderful result nonetheless for Ipswich to win your home games, and that's the thing about Ipswich last time round.
What about
they didn't really do well at Portman Road.
Player in Ciso, he looked a player, didn't he?
Yeah,
he looked a player, didn't he? I mean, some of the defending from Sand. I mean, Ballard's defending was terrible at times.
Well, he went fishing for things, didn't he? And he didn't look. He was at the level, but He's very gallant, and he does show he gives everything for the club, but he needs to improve.
A few decent players on show tonight. Alex, 8 o'clock kickoff, Fulham Chelsea, talkSPORT exclusive. What are you thinking on that?
Yeah, I feel like we're saying this about most teams now, but two pretty unknown entities tonight in terms of what we expect from this season. Both two clubs with new managers. Fulham, as I've just mentioned, they started the season as fifth favourites at 11-2 for the drop, now 4-1. Feels like it might be a little bit of a rebuild season for them. They've had to replace two key goal scorers in Raul Jimenez and Harry Wilson. Arbeloa's brought in a couple of young lads from Real Madrid along with another youngster in Shea Charles, so it'll be interesting to see how they sort of settle into Premier League football. Chelsea, they started the season as fifth favourites to win the league at 8-1. They are now fourth favourites with Man United drifting, as I earlier mentioned. I won't go through Chelsea's transfer business as we might be here quite a while, but top four is, of course, an absolute must for them, given no European football. Both sides poor records in the recent opening Premier League games of the season. Fulham have won just one of the last 6, and Chelsea are winless in the last 3. Fulham did win this fixture last season, though, and they are 3-1 to win again tonight, with Chelsea the favourites, just short of even money at 4-5, or if you do fancy the draw, that's 11-4.
Okay, Alex, thank you for that. It's a good one tonight, Mark.
Arbeloa versus Alonso, but last two Real Madrid managers, by the way.
Yeah.
Shows you the calibre of the managers coming in now.
Fulham Chelsea, talkSPORT exclusive. Thanks to Alex. Visit betmgm.co.uk, download the app, 18+, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Danny, when you look at it, United in that fairly congested midfield area, say Baliba comes through the door, Tielemans is there, Santos, Mainu, Bruno Fernandes. Well, it's going to be a mighty old force in midfield, is it not?
It looks a very strong group of players, all giving little different parts of what you want. A far cry, really, from what we've seen over the last couple of years. United struggling in midfield areas. And I think we're talking about one of the biggest clubs in the world. They'll be looking to try and compete for the Premier League and the Champions League in the next couple of years. Of course they will. That's the aim of a club like Manchester United. So you need at least 5, when you think about it, in the middle of the park, who are going to be pushing each other, especially if they play a 3. You know, Bruno's probably the one standout, you say, in all the big games he's going to play. Yeah. He's got great durability anyway, and he's the match, the game changer, the match winner, the creative force, the goals. I would imagine for me, out of the others, Santos, Baliba, both young lads, both got more to come. Tielemans is more rounded, more ready to take that on. I think Tielemans has
Where's it leave Menu? A lot of people asking me to ask you that.
Well,
and what's your ideal starting 3?
I think that would depend a lot on where they're at when they come in and how they adapt to the pressure and expectation of being at Man United, because that's never easy. I think initially he might go Tielemans, Bruno and Mainu, because Mainu knows what the manager wants already. I think Baliba will become one of the main men.
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary Test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. Thanks to talkSPORT and Visit Victoria, you could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for two to watch the 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers. The 150th anniversary Test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army.
Yep, are you ready for the trip of a lifetime? We're sending you and a mate down under. Thanks to Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army, you could be at the MCG watching England-Australia at the 150th anniversary Test match. We are talking 5-day match tickets, 7 nights hotel, an exclusive pre-match function with cricket legends, and a day trip to the Great Ocean Road with return flights and spending money included. Head to talksportwin.com right now and you can enter and you'll find out all about the terms and conditions. Sounds good to me. Martin's Arsenal got off to a flyer on Friday night. They beat the New Boys Coventry by 3-0, and maybe Christos Solis is one who's going to catch the eye this season, one of the news signings. How good was he, do you think, on Friday night, Martin? How good might he get?
Solis, yeah, exceptional. I think it's good a debut, as I've seen from a wide player I might have to go back as far as Freddie Ljungberg, and he came off the bench in a 3-0 victory against Manchester United. I said that on the night. This kid is like, his decision-making, Jim, excellent. The way he was working on that left-hand side with Calafiori already, dovetailing, it's worked really quickly, very well. I think he's exceeded expectations. And it's almost as if they've scoured Europe to find the equivalent of Trossard, that same sort of intelligence. This one's maybe a bit quicker. This lad's a bit quicker. And he's a major upgrade on where he was. He was at Norwich, of course, before.
Yeah, it's strange how it's come about, isn't it? It's something of a circuitous route.
Exactly. And he's certainly performed a lot better than he did the last time he would have been at the Emirates. But all of that's given him that Premier League experience as well, I think, for him to get off to a good start.
So he looks as if he's in for a good season in the colours of Arsenal. Ian Wright says Gabriel Martinelli deserves, quotes, more respect from Arsenal and has criticised the way the club are handling his potential exit. Didn't feature in the Community Shield, Martinelli didn't feature against Coventry. Arsenal deny that Martinelli is being frozen out and say his absence reflects their strength in depth right now. But Ian Wright, Martin and Simon, has gone pretty strong in this. He says, the way Martinelli is being treated at the moment, it really makes me feel uncomfortable. I know they might want him out and a lot of people might say, yeah, it's time for him to move on. But there's ways of doing that. And it should suit him as well, how he wants to leave. Ian Wright says, not being involved in the squad, not being spoken to, he doesn't know what's going on. And yes, I know this. He doesn't know what's happening. He's done enough with this squad to be treated with a little bit more respect than he's being treated with at the moment. Ian Wright's perspective of it, Simon, what do you make of that?
Not a lot, because I don't imagine it's particularly informed. Unless he's across the exact details of Arsenal's behaviour, the players' perspective, which he may well be, and he's indicating it appears that he's well aware of the players' perspective, then he'd be better served to perhaps keep his own counsel, because I'm not entirely sure what it's got to do with him. And I'm not entirely sure why he would think that Arsenal and Mikel Arteta aren't capable of managing their players in an appropriate fashion. So I don't know what expertise he has in this, in his varied career of football administration, that gives him the credence besides the fact that people like Ian Wright and they take him at face value. I know him, so I have a different view of him. But the bottom line is that I think his opinion is rather uninformed and rather biased and rather one-dimensional, because I don't think there's any indication that Arsenal, and Martin can speak to it too, because obviously he's been involved with this football club, don't conduct themselves properly and don't conduct themselves appropriately. And what he's indicating, that this football club that's considered to be one of the statesmen of English football aren't doing so. And I think that's a rather strong allegation, and I think he should wind his neck in a little bit. But maybe he thinks he's in the position, because of his new contract at Sky, that people are going to hang on his every word.
I think tough decisions have to be made. I mean, I have a lot of affection for Martinelli as well.
Do you feel he's being treated with the right amount of respect here?
Well, he's got 1 year left on his contract. And, you know, if the club wants to sort of push the Browns, I don't know if he's going to stay there or go. But, you know, I don't know if he knows inside information. I would have thought that was highly unlikely. I mean, Arteta communicates with his players better than anyone I've ever known. You know, it's continuous. So maybe that's just Ian just getting a bit emotional on the night, and maybe doesn't know that answer to that. I wouldn't question Ian. I think look, we all love these Arsenal players because they did something that no one's done for 22 years. It's just overstepping that boundary of how you then behave. Look, let's hope they find a solution.
What do you mean by that? Do you think Ian Wright's overstepped the boundary?
Well, I think as former players, I think we need to know. He has to definitely know that before he actually says that. So, you know, far be it from me to tell him how to behave. He's on the first night on Sky, Dave Jones. You push me sometimes to say things that I maybe, and I don't know if they're true or not.
Well, I do.
Yeah, you push the boundaries, and maybe it was something that was said off air and it ends up on air. But effectively, I think Ian. Look, what it shows, Ian, he's got to know some of the players. He has a strong relationship with them. He loves the player, as we all do. He's that type of lad,
and he can say that.
And he can say that.
He
but
can use his words. He can say that. I'm
but the club
disappointed to see Martinelli's not getting opportunities, but he can't be condemnatory of something he doesn't know.
No, but what they do need to do, they do need to sort this situation out.
And I'm sure Arsenal will do. And it's Arsenal's gift, because guess what Arsenal do? They pay the players' wages. So they've earned the privilege of either paying a transfer for him, and whilst he's not playing for that football club, he'll be getting his £100,000 a week or whatever it is. And Arsenal will, I suspect, conduct themselves appropriately. And have we got any evidence to suggest that Arsenal don't conduct themselves appropriately? So a one-dimensional, biased rant.
I don't think he needs to be battering Ian Wright. I think he loves the players. He's shown that.
I think,
and maybe just taking that step too far.
Battering him is not what we're doing. We're holding.
No, I think you did it.
No, I'm holding him to account for the things that he said. If you want to characterise what I've said, that's up to you. I'm holding him accountable for what he said. What he has spoken about is the football club that he played for, that you played for, that I would think conducts itself appropriately.
Yeah,
has got no history of conducting itself badly with players.
Absolutely,
is detailing a relationship with his player in the way that it sees fit. So I don't really see why Ian Wright, that's not informed about how Arsenal are behaving. He's only may well be, and even you've questioned the validity of it, so maybe you're battering him, is informed from the player's point of view. It seems to me to be a very strong statement that he's prepared to make about the conduct of an elite football club. Now, elite football club should be,
but it's based on his affection for the player, and I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't batter him completely.
Well, you can have an affection for the player, but you can't condemn the people that are controlling this player's destiny.
It needs to be based on accurate information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ian Wright says, "I know this." He doesn't know what is happening.
No, but I believe they are communicating with the player.
Yeah. It's a tough environment. Arsenal's is an elite environment, Martin, especially now because they're champions.
Well,
does ruthlessness always override sentiment?
Yeah, but if you look at the
successful environment.
But Jim, look at the bigger picture.
But answer that for me.
Well, yes, you're absolutely right, because obviously the club's ambitious. It wants to go to the next level, and the player's only got a year left on his contract. So, and it's about being able to trade. I've talked about Unai Emery being able to trade. Arsenal don't trade as much.
Yeah. I'll ask you this.
It's important to build relationships with the players that you're selling maybe to other clubs than it is the ones you're buying.
Have Arsenal right now outgrown Martinelli?
No, I think he's still a place for him. I thought he turned the corner at the end of last season.
Is Solis an upgrade?
Well, he's fitted in remarkably well, so they may be looking at that, and there may be somebody else in the window that they need the money for from Martinelli.
Yeah.
But Jim, they can't allow his contract to run out. Business has to be done, and everyone has to accept that.
Arsenal, with respect, he's their asset, and unless their conduct is reprehensible, that there's no evidence that there is, besides a biased perspective about what a player may not be getting, I don't really understand who has the right to question it. Because and Ian doing that should be questioned in the same way. He should be held to the same standards that he's trying to hold Arsenal to. So when we're talking about, so you must be uncomfortable that he's battering Arsenal. Ian's battering Arsenal. You must be uncomfortable.
Well, he's questioning. He's questioning, obviously, that there's no communication, and I would say that this manager is. We know that he's first class. It's an incredible atmosphere there,
and maybe Ian Wright is suggesting it that Martinelli has played his part. Let's face it, in helping Arsenal get to where they've got.
Yes. He has. It can't be
through the bad times.
That cannot be questioned, Jim. And also, as well I can understand Ian having a great affection for the player, but the decisions have to be made.
Arsenal, if you look at Ian, might go, who are you? Where do you think you're coming from?
Hold on, he's a player, a former player of the club, isn't he?
And that's right.
He's held in great respect within the media.
He's a former employee of the club. And so with that in mind, it doesn't give him license or latitude to say what he wants. So if I'm the ownership of Arsenal that he didn't play for, right, I'd be sitting there going, well, first and foremost, you were afforded probably a lot of courtesies because you played for us once. You're given a lot of privileges because you played for us once. That doesn't mean that you get to step across the line and be disrespectful and disingenuous about what we're actually doing as a football club. Because what you're doing is you're criticising our behaviour, and you might not know our behaviour. And we don't have to account to you, Ian, but if you want to go on radio, television, and flap your gums about what we're doing, there might be a consequence for that.
It could be said, it could be argued as well, though, Simon, that he's a legend of the club. And he's entitled to say what he thinks. And if he does think he's right...
He may reflect the opinion of a lot of people as well.
Then... fair play.
There's nothing wrong with
second highest all-time goal scorer at the club.
But opinions are like backsides. Everybody's got one. It's really very easy to have an opinion. But what's really wonderful in this world and very rare is informed opinions. And when you hear them, you stand back and go, "I listen to that guy." So have we got an informed, balanced opinion? Because we can all cope with that. If Ian Wright is privy to the fact that Arsenal are doing something, and he's privy to both sides of the argument, and he's put forward a rounded argument, then we'd all say, well, that's insightful. Well done him for giving us all a bit of insight because it's balanced. But it's not a balanced argument. It's a one-dimensional argument with huge judgment in the middle of it, and it should be held to the same standard that he's trying to hold Arsenal to.
And just to be clear, you would think that Ian is off the mark here, Martin, in terms
of course. Maybe he's just
Arsenal
emotional,
communicate
and being pushed by
the
likes of yourself. Dave Jones pushed him just a little bit more,
and Martinelli
to go.
And Martinelli will fully know whether he is or isn't in the picture.
He will know exactly his position at the football club. That's without doubt. And if he does go, it's with a heavy heart that he goes, Jim, because he's a player that I've admired in the way that he's played. But if they're going to the next level and he's got a year left of his contract, people are going to have to trade.
Told when the club's good and ready, because all he is this idea, and it gets right up my nose. In any other walk of life, employees are employees. What is this special dispensation that suddenly footballers get that are highly paid individuals, that they should be given an extreme level of courtesy that no other industry affords anybody? An employee is at the beck and call of a business. A business has responsibilities to manage them properly and look after them properly. And if the business is doing that by meeting their obligations, which is paying the player's wages and enable him to be able to train, they have no other responsibilities besides that. And this idea that we suddenly build these footballers up into something extremely important, that they must be given courtesy of being informed about everything, dawn till dusk, is a load of old cobblers. Which perpetuated by ex-players in the industry itself.
It's actually hard to argue against
No.
that.
It's why he wasn't ultimately successful, because he needs to love his players a little bit more.
God!
If you were to love your players, Simon, I'll take you all the way back to Palace.
I love my players.
A little bit more. Maybe you might have got.
No, but if you actually knew what you were talking about, which is a rarity.
No, but I've had to pull you up on that. You keep on going.
No, because I have a relationship with my players because I knew what characteristics and what standards I set for them, and you don't know running out of money at the end of a 10-year period where I bankrolled a football club rather than you getting paid by one, what success I did and didn't have.
But Martin, ultimately, though,
you don't know what you're talking
about.
Simon
is right. I'm just saying facts.
Martinelli.
Well, to listen to you didn't love the players, did you?
No, not these comments.
But Simon, but Martin, on this one, Simon's right. Martinelli is an employee of the club.
Yes.
And you are saying he will be in the know because Arsenal will
100%,
keep him
100%.
in the know.
Yeah.
So we'll find out in the fullness of time whether or not Martinelli is going to stay there or go. But we think he's probably getting treated with the right amount of respect. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Martin Keown live in talkSPORT. And we're live with Selco's, where the trade goes. for the record, we've had 7 different Premier League winners.
Over 33 years, over 34 years.
But this time...
Wow.
But this time, Simon, do you not agree that this is probably the most competitive ever Premier League season on the horizon?
For participation, not for winning. You're going to be one of the 4 clubs that has the biggest turnovers is going to win the league. Aston Villa are not going to win the league. Newcastle are not going to win the league.
So how do you explain Leicester when they did it?
A rare and absolute anomaly that was never allowed to happen again, because all the big clubs sat on their hands, suddenly decided that they could all do things in a certain way, and they got caught with their pants down. Even to the way that they allowed Leicester to play. Everybody knew how Leicester played. Drinkwater gets the ball, looks up, knocks it long for Vardy. And yet on the last game of the season, they were doing the same thing, and teams were still playing the same way against them. So don't ask me how I explain that situation, but it's not going to be repeated, and it hasn't been repeated since. And that was now a decade ago. So who's won the league since then? And who won the league prior to that?
So tell me straight, how many teams this time around do you feel can aspire to win the Premier League?
2, 3? But that doesn't mean the league's not competitive. The argument, why would you suggest that governance needs to be brought in to the most successful league that has been the commercially most successful league in the history of football? Why are you regulating it? What are you regulating it from? I understand what he's saying is that the Premier League clubs want some degree of control. They want governance. Yeah, they want good disciplines. They want good governance. They want good regulation. Is your regulation with the consequences of the way that clubs are suing one another now, the way that they're suing, the way that Man City have been hauled over the coals and been sat in abeyance for 2 years because you can't prosecute them properly, is that good governance and good regulation? Because to me, it doesn't look like it.
talkSPORT Sports Update with NordVPN. Avoid scams, phishing and malware with our most advanced VPN, now with built-in next-gen antivirus.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. Michael Owen simply cannot believe Liverpool have gone from title winners to a total rebuild in just 15 months. A late Szoboszlai penalty yesterday saved their blushes at St James's Park, earning a point. Owen told talkSPORT he's not buying the suggestion that qualifying for the Champions League this season is enough.
They got into the Champions last season with an awful season, so that really doesn't wash for me. I mean, of course, Arne Slot lost his job by getting in the Champions League qualification places.
He also says Alexander Isak was right not to take the ball off Szoboszlai for that equalising penalty. You can hear the whole chat back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel. Now, one team who would be happy with a top 4 finish is Chelsea. Former midfielder Jody Morris told us it should really be the minimum.
Regardless of how poor we were last year, we spent astronomical amounts of money on this squad, and we should be a lot better than we were last year. So I think we have to be top 4.
Chelsea are at Fulham tonight, live and exclusive to talkSPORT. Now, the Hull captain has admitted to us Saturday it was the perfect start as they returned to the Premier League. Lewis Coyle says to have any success, they have to play to their strengths.
We knew there'd be spaces down the sides, and like you say, Gilo on that side, incredible delivery. And you've got the big man in the box, which that's what he wants. That's where he scores his goals. So we was a big believer in Saturday. If we get the chance to cross the ball, don't turn it down.
Hull owner Akon Ilachali will be live with us next. And we're told Leeds' second loan offer for Mykhailo Mudryk has been rejected, and that Chelsea no longer consider Leeds as a viable destination for the Ukrainian, but they do have interest from a number of other Premier League and European clubs, including Brentford and Strasbourg. Get more at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
There are questions about whether social media companies should do more to discourage dangerous driving online, and Russia has accused the UK of adding fuel to the fire by supplying Ukrainians with secret blueprints for weapons. Emma's got more at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. This summer, treat yourself to Bridgestone Turanza all-season 6 tyres with a 25,000 mileage guarantee. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Another fine and dry day for many after a chilly start, feeling warm, but with gusty winds across the south and west.
Good afternoon, everybody. 6 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White, it's Simon Jordan, and it's Martin Keown, and we are live on talkSPORT. A lot to get in this final hour. Why is that? Because so much has happened, and we're still going to talk transfers because all sorts of business being done with the deadline fast approaching next week. Looks like Manchester City are going to land this young fella from Lille, the Moroccan midfielder who Simon and I saw and watched up in close and personal when we watched Brazil-Morocco over in the US of A. Ayoub Bouadi, £85 million. That is on the brink of happening, we understand. Alex Crook will be joining us live very shortly. But, of course, Arsenal got it off to winning ways on Friday night. And Saturday lunchtime, the new boys Hull were at home to Michael Carrick's Manchester United. And they produced a home win. Much against the odds, Hull kicked off their campaign by beating one of the big guns. Manchester United went down 2-0 at Hull. Ajayi and Mendy with the two first half goals. And now we begin to scratch our heads, wondering what Hull may go on to achieve this season. Is it all about avoiding relegation? Hull's owner, Acun Ilikali, joins us live. He's back in his native Turkey this lunchtime. Acun, good afternoon. You must have been thrilled with that result.
Of course, I mean, was I expecting? No, because at the end of the day, we were facing a very big team of Premier League. But in football, everything can happen. I always believe in the boys. They gave us some beautiful wins before in the championship, and especially in the semi-finals and the final of the where we played in Wembley. So at the end of the day, football is this. That's why we love it. When you have different elements on the table, you can win. I think we had the heart, belief, and concentration. I think it was a little early for Manchester United, and we did it. I'm so happy.
I'm not surprised you're happy. What about your manager, Sergei Yakirovich? I mean, he must have been thrilled, and you must have been delighted for him as well, because you have a great degree of faith in him, do you not, Acun?
Of course, when I brought him to England, so many comments about, everybody was saying that he has never been in the big leagues, he doesn't know championship, he doesn't know how to manage a club in England. All stories was like this. So few people believed in us when we brought him. But I believed in him, of course, because I saw his football in Turkey, and he came in January in Turkey, so he impressed me a lot. When I met him as a person, I saw a great character in front of me, and true, nice person, and of course knows football and realistic. So we started our journey together with him, and I discovered that he was the coach I was looking for 3 years. And thank God, God sent me Sergey, and now we are very happy.
Acun, I watched the game, and McBurney, just an example, were you surprised at the levels that the players went to? Obviously, playing in the Championship, he had a bit of experience previous in the Premier League, but did everyone play, lift themselves for this occasion? I mean, I hope it's not a one-off, but it was an incredible performance.
You are very right, because what we saw in Slater, Cruxy, and especially McBurney, even, of course, the other boys, Giles, Coyle, everybody lifted themselves. So I was making fun with Slater, especially. His name is 50 grand, because the club bought him for £50,000, you know. So his nickname is in the stands 50 grand. So I was saying to him, in League One, you were playing like a League One player. Then you promoted to championship. You played it exactly like a championship player. And one day before the game, I asked him, now it is the Premier League time. And I think you will be again like a Premier League player that played so many years. And he said to me, we will see tomorrow. The game was one day later. So after the game, what he said to me was, when we met in the dressing room after the game, he said to me, now I feel I can be a Premier League player. And that made me very happy. McBurney is a special case, of course. For me, he is our hero and very special personality, extremely talent. And if you ask me, in my 30 years of football watching, I cannot count you 10 more players more intelligent than Oli McBurney.
Wow, interesting. Last week, one or two pundits were none too complimentary about what Hull may or may not do this season in the Premier League, June. Do you think your boys use that as a bit of motivation that will prove you wrong?
This has been for more than 1 year, this motivation. But in the beginning of championship, everybody was making assumptions and they all put us to 22, 23, 24, and we were the favorite to be relegated. This year, of course, we were expecting the same thing. But this year, nobody doubted about it. Everybody was sure that we are relegated. For example, they are making predictions, and when they see on their head Hull, they don't even talk about the club. They just put it to 20 without making any comment. It was, of course, fun for us because me, my fans, everybody in Hull, we believe in our boys, we believe in us. So for us, we like to be underdog, and it motivates us. Yes, it motivates us. But last week, the situation was different. The comments was a little disturbing. So I made my comments about them. I don't want to talk too much about it, but sometimes it happens in football, in life.
Achun, first of all, I'm delighted for you. To have gotten promoted. You've been there for a period of time. Obviously, a side of my family are all big Hull fans, and my brother-in-laws were all sitting in Spain and in Gibraltar watching this game, and they actually forecast the score 2-0, and I laughed at it and said, you're going to get done, in the same way that Arsenal did Coventry. So I'm delighted that you won. But interestingly for me is about you and your expectations. You've gone into the Premier League, you've supported this club. I've seen the change in the club. I've seen from the Alam ownership to your ownership, your relationship with the fans. I think you've done brilliantly for the football club. You took a bold decision, like all of us. You kissed some frogs to get the manager that you want. You've got the manager in that's doing a job for you at this moment in time. But your expectations of this season, what are you expecting to happen? You're a realist, you're a pragmatist. You know it's very difficult to stay in this Premier League. But what are you expecting of the season?
First of all, I have a special thank you, Simon, because whenever we talk in this 3 years of journey, 4 years of journey, you visited our beautiful city. This is an honor for us. And apart from that, you always mentioned your belief in our project. Because you were there, you saw that we became a family. You saw that we are united. Me, players, coach, everybody, we are like one family. And we always say one family, one dream, and the dream came true. And about the Premier League, one win never will take us over the clouds, of course. We know who we are, but don't forget, on the pitch, we had 8 players missing in that day. On Saturday, I think 6, 7 starters were missing in the team. So that made me more optimistic now because, of course, I know how it is tough to stay in the Premier League. Our only goal this year is to stay in the Premier League, nothing else. Because if I can stay in the Premier League, and of course we can stay in the Premier League, what we will do is we will get another yearly budget. This time our strength will be double. That's what I'm trying to do. At the moment, think like this. I have to buy 15 players now, and with a certain budget and limit, I have to get 15 players. So these players per player value will not be high, of course. I can only spend 3, 4 over 20 million, and that's all what we can do. But next year, if we can stay, I will want to be another Brighton, Brentford. These clubs I really love, and hopefully, future can be another Leicester, maybe 10 years ago. But we will see. I know that our boys can do it because they really play with their heart. I've never seen any team in this league giving everything on the pitch like our boys do. And that's always making me proud, and I'm hopeful that we can stay in the league.
You were delighted to beat Manchester United. I would think, finally, Achun, you'll be even more delighted if you can go to Coventry next weekend and win there.
First of all, I love Coventry. I love their owner. Doug is a good friend of mine. And he really supported me in my hard times, in the playoff times, we have a good relation with him. I love him and his wife, of course. But this is football. And, it's like the Roman Empire days. Somebody has to be alive, So nobody can give credit to other or be romantic. So, of course, we will give everything. And we will have 2, 3 players on the pitch different this time, I think. Of course, coach decision, but newcomers will be ready. And we have I think for me it's a 50-50 game. Anything can happen. But if we win, then of course, nobody is expecting us to stay. We will win. But if it is 2 win, then it will be still little confusion about some commenters like what is going on, and hopefully we can do that.
Brilliant. Atune Cali, it's always an absolute joy to have you in the show. Thanks so much for joining us. Keep it going, Atune. Go on, Hull. Let's see what you can do. Thank you so much. Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
We're due to talk about Spurs now. O'Hara was meant to be here, Jason Cundy, but apparently he's bottled his chance to plug your show. What? If you're not watching but listening, you've put on a Jamie O'Hara mask. Is that a new thing? I mean, that's quite horrific.
I don't know what it looks like. How does it look?
What do you think it looks like?
No, I can't see myself. Does it look like O'Hara?
Have a look at the monitor.
Every time I do that, I turn away.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it looks ghastly, and I never use that word. Yeah. Have you put it on before?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, I've worn it before.
It's
so
vile.
Weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. So do you want to pretend he's here?
I can pretend he's here.
Okay,
yeah.
let's
Shambles! Shambles!
Good team. Why is he not here? I heard he stormed out the studio again yesterday.
Last night, honestly.
Soon it's going to be more of a shock if he's
I talk about Spurs.
Take the mask off, for God's sake. Yeah.
Honestly, when we talk...
Oh, put it back, put it back.
Put it on. I love getting into him about Spurs. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And he was saying if they buy Savinho and Mamouche, they're guaranteed top four, top two. And I'm like, come on, mate, come on. The Ange mask will come out, and it just grew legs and arms. The thing, and it just exploded.
You got many more masks?
No, yeah, we've got Benty mask.
Have you?
No, we don't. No.
Don't wear them in a bank.
Do you know what happened though? Here's what happened with the Ange mask. We bought it last season when he took over at Forest, and we ordered it from I think South America. By the time the mask turned up, he'd been sacked.
How's that? Next March, the England cricket team face Australia in the 150th anniversary test match down under. And as always, the Barmy Army will be there. And thanks to talkSPORT, Visit Victoria could be too. Enter now at talksportwin.com for the chance to score an incredible week-long trip for two to watch the 150th anniversary test match in Melbourne with Visit Victoria and the Barmy Army. Enter now at talksportwin.com and get ready to experience the electric atmosphere that only a Barmy Army tour delivers.
Now, remember, talkSPORT is now available to watch live in more places for round-the-clock coverage of this new Premier League season that has just got underway. That's Samsung TV Plus for talkSPORT, plus for all the sports that you know and love. Just watch. And I'm sure you're doing just that. It's time for this.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN on August 29th. Witness history as Moses bids to become Britain's youngest ever heavyweight world champion. Exclusively on DAZN Saturday Fight Night.
Yes, indeed. This Saturday, Moses Atoma bids to become Britain's youngest ever heavyweight champion. So let's look ahead to the big fight right now. Witness history with DAZN. And Simon, it could well be very much a case of out with the old and in with the new. Atoma Hrgović, we know what Moses is capable of. He's explosive.
Yep.
Are we just going to see what we've seen before and Hrgović will be the latest casualty?
I think so. I mean, that doesn't mean Filip Hrgović isn't a world-level fighter, but I think despite some of the things that Moses has said, which I think are relatively ridiculous, he's made this big argument because he doesn't like having his chin questioned and he doesn't feel that a chin is particularly important. He's going to find out when he gets hit that a chin is particularly important, and it's one question that's yet to be answered because no one's had the audacity to whack him. I think there will be an opportunity for Filip Hrgović to do it, but I make the case that I think, with respect to Filip Hrgović, that Moses Atoma is going to go through him and go through him early in the fight. I think he's going to knock him out. I think he's going to knock him out inside 4 rounds. And I think you're going to see the crowning of the next heavyweight champion of the world that potentially could preside over the division for a significant period of time, has the same menace and abilities that Mike Tyson had. Hopefully he doesn't have the mental challenges that Mike Tyson had in his life and the challenges that brought him to break the law and all the terrible things that ended up bringing Tyson down. But the actual explosiveness, the power, the ability, and if you listen to all those in boxing that really know, that talk about the stories of Moses Atoma in fighting, in sparring, what he's done. The one question that remains is his resume isn't as impressive as people would like to make it suggest that it is. He hasn't really beaten anyone yet, but he's going to beat Filip Hrgović this weekend, and that argument is going to be put to bed, in my view.
So Hrgović would be the biggest name on Moses' CV, if you like.
Who's he beat? Jermaine Franklin? Jermaine Franklin was beaten. It was brought in to be durable.
Dillian Whyte?
The avatar that was Dillian Whyte, it's like the artist that was formerly Prince. This is the fighter that was formerly Dillian Whyte. So with respect, he beat a resume builder, not the Dillian Whyte that fought Anthony Joshua 5 or 6 or 7 years ago when Dillian Whyte was a force to be reckoned with. So he's going in now with Filip Hrgović, who's bashed up 3 Brits in a row. With due respect, is David Adley, Joe Joyce and Dave Allen preparation for Moses Atoma? I don't think so.
Okay.
But Moses
does he get to fight Usyk eventually, or does he run for the hills?
No, Usyk's not going to fight. Usyk's relinquished all his belts, hasn't he? Usyk has made his decision. He's going to have 1 more fight or 2 more fights against who he wants to fight, and none of them are going to fight Moses Atoma. Anthony Joshua's not going to fight Moses Atoma.
Says it all.
Tyson Fury's not going to fight him. Usyk's not going to fight him. These are the old generation, and we need to shuffle off out, and the next generation comes in, and Moses Atoma is that.
Well, you just mentioned Fury and AJ, the latest instalment over the AJ versus Fury soap opera continued on Friday. Fury popped out this message.
Quick update for you. Doesn't look like they're going to sign the fight, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. All because Eddie Hearn and that want more money. They've already had that much money off of Turkey in the last few years, Eddie and AJ, yeah? They've had boxing deals, they've had darts deals, they've had snooker deals, they've had everything. And yet, they've got the audacity and cheek of flea-bitten rats to ask for more money from old Turkey. That's givious. I'll tell you what, it's disgusting. It is what it is. Same old cliche a decade later. Keep running, you little cowards.
Is Tyson right? Are they going after too much dough?
Yeah, there was an element of what he says there's probably correct, but I doubt it. I mean, the fight's been signed. I thought that they'd done their deals. I thought that Anthony Joshua had done his deal with Turki Al-Sheikh. Tyson Fury had done his deal. And the real claim that the two promoters have is that they have a relationship contractually with Anthony Joshua and with Tyson Fury, and they get their promoters' money out of it, but the fighters have done their deals. Now, these guys talking about, how much money they should and shouldn't get whilst they're structuring all their tax affairs in different countries to make sure they get the maximum returns are a little bit hypocritical. But the fact is that I still believe this fight goes on. The more that they can keep on curating the noise around it, the more they can keep on insulting one another, to be fair to Anthony, he's not getting involved in too much of that. He does, because that's his stock in trade. But it's noise until we keep on, because there's nothing to talk about right now, because the fight isn't been announced. So we have to keep on. So they keep on the Bunsen burner underneath the flames, creating the opportunity to keep talking about it. They'll be fighting. There's too much money. And if you look at perhaps the way that these fighters have been paid, have they been paid already? Have people been paid for making warm-up fights and structured in such a way that they get the benefits of having fights in Saudi or in other parts of the world, so that they don't have to get the same tax implications? I don't know, maybe. So they'll be fighting.
I mean, all this talk that they signed, Eddie and AJ signed to fight here in the UK, but the sensible thought is it will end up in Madison Square Garden, New York. Or is that all just part of the promotion of the whole thing?
Look, I mean, Eddie Hearn has to retain some value in this conversation when he has none. He's not the promoter of this fight. He's not the funder of this fight. But does he want to be the promoter that gets to be... Everyone knows, really, morally, not financially, this fight should be in England. If these were two American fighters, they wouldn't be coming to England to have a fight. There's no real audience for Tyson Fury and for Anthony Joshua in America. They might like you to think there is, but there really isn't, right? Because they're not superstars. They're superstars here, and they're superstars in Europe, but they're not superstars in America. And so with that in mind, Tyson's got a little bit more of a footprint. And if you want to make the argument, as Hearn and Frank Smith will make, well, Jake Paul catapulted him. No, it didn't. Everyone looked at that as a fight. The former heavyweight champion is fighting Jake Paul. Take the currency out of that. Yeah. The bottom line is that Eddie won't be in a... won't, and I'm pretty sure Eddie's probably right. They signed a contract to fight in England. But the money in the room has changed its mind and wants to fight it in America, because the money in the room, and they all dress it up. The guy that they all ran to, the guy that they all bowed and scraped to, the guy that they all sold their souls to, is a 60% shareholder in an American business, right? So where does he want this fight? Probably in this place that best suits him. So with respect to the contract that you've got, which might have said that you're going to have it in the UK, if Turkey Al-Sheikh says it's going to America because it suits them better for their Netflix deal, because it's about Netflix, and because it suits him better. And the reasons why Eddie Hearn doesn't want to admit it, because he doesn't want Dana White at the table. He can't bear the idea, in my view, that Dana White's going to be part of the promotional team, that he sat there having a fight with Dana about who's more valuable than the other person.
All right. Well, so, AJ Fury, further down the line, Simon, we shall see where and when in the fullness of time. In the meantime, in terms of time, it's this Saturday for Moses Atoma against Filip Hrgovic with DAZN. Join DAZN Ultimate for 185 plus fight nights and 12 plus pay-per-views every year, including Atoma versus Hrgovic, all included at no extra cost. Buy now at DAZN.com.
Big fight build-up on talkSPORT with DAZN on August 29th. Witness history as Moses bids to become Britain's youngest ever heavyweight world champion, exclusively on DAZN Saturday Fight Night.
Finished ninth. Yep. You come on talkSPORT and said that Chelsea are going to win the league. Yep. Who's the idiot?
We've got a manager that knows how to win a league.
No. Who's the idiot?
Won the Bundesliga.
I don't care. Who's the idiot?
What's the Spursy one? What's the Spursy ever won?
They finished 10th. Sorry.
10th.
Correction.
I know.
You finished 10th.
You'll take her place.
No, you finished 10th.
You'll take her place.
All right? And you come on talkSPORT and said that you're going to win the league.
You'll take her.
I don't think I'm an idiot in saying that Spurs can finish in the top 4 if we sign for Slovenia and Mamush.
You'll take our place.
So,
Roberto De Sperzi.
There's only one mug here, and it's you.
Roberto De Sperzi, he'll take 10th, mate. That's a good season for you lot. Mate, you'll take that. Jay.
Don't
100%.
Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me. Don't Jay me.
Jay, 100% you take 10th. I'll give you 10th now. With 10 games to go 10th. So you've not got to sweat like you did last season. Sweating over the last couple of games. Are we going to go down? Oh, no. We'll go down.
Mate, you finished 10th.
Yeah, I know we did.
You literally finished 10th.
But we've got a manager that knows how to win.
That's almost like you spent £1 billion on a football team.
Yeah,
and finished 10th.
Another billion.
Right, who's more embarrassing?
And we're going to win it.
Who's more embarrassing?
Do you know what we should do? We should go for Savinho and Mamouche. Then we'd definitely win it. Put that in the Todd.
keep.
What do you mean? Don't start getting.
No.
Don't.
I really want to swear at you, but I'm not going to. Right?
Don't, Jay. Take. I'll give you. Okay, here we go. 10th, yes or no? Yes or no? Jay, yes or no? Take 10. He's going to take 10. He's walking there. You got to take 10.
talkSPORT News.
Good afternoon, it's Emma Kerwin with your headlines. Andy Burnham has promised to keep up the pressure on Russia despite Moscow's threats. The Prime Minister's in Kyiv, where he's going to hand over secret blueprints later so the country can build its own long-range missiles. The Kremlin claims Britain is participating in the war and adding fuel to the fire. There are calls for social media companies to remove posts celebrating people driving the wrong way down roads. 2 police officers were killed when a car collided with their vehicle in a head-on crash near Middlesbrough at the weekend. One of the passengers, a teenager, had previously posted dangerous driving videos on TikTok. Tory MP Tom Tugendhat says the platform has questions to answer.
Social media does have responsibility, and let's be absolutely clear. TikTok is a news site edited by the Chinese Communist Party in order to spread division in our country and other countries.
The Green Party claims Reform UK's plans to prioritise British-born workers for social housing are racist and cruel. Nigel Farage also says he'd bump veterans and married couples with children to the front of the queue if he gets into number 10. And Liam Gallagher has shut down rumours Oasis are performing at Glastonbury next year. He's gone on a rant online, basically saying it's not happening after a fan account posted about the rumours.
talkSPORT Sports Headlines with Bostik. For workable, easy-to-apply mortar that tools easily, pros trust Bostik.
We've been told it's no surprise Ollie Watkins wants out of Aston Villa, and Leeds' loan offer for Mykhailo Mudryk has been turned down.
Monday lunchtime, Jim White, Simon Jordan, Martin Keown, live in talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. Bit of change in sports here. It was just 5 days ago. England captain Joe Root urged his players to be, quote, really good role models and human beings at the start of what is Joe's second spell as Test captain. And yet, having said that, England bowler Bryden Carse is under investigation by the ECB after he was reportedly involved in an incident in a nightclub in Derby on Saturday. Videos circulating on social media appeared to show Carse in handcuffs being led away from the club by 4 police officers. Teammate Matthew Potts was also seen with him. Durham England teammate Potts seen in the video trying to talk to Carse, whilst Ben Stokes is also in view. If you're watching us live on YouTube at the moment, you can see some of what I'm talking about, those events unfolding, as I say, live on YouTube there. Carse is understood to have been briefly detained by the police at the scene, but wasn't arrested. Now, of course, the ECB have had to come in again, and this time say, We are aware of an incident which is reported to have taken place in Derby last night. We are currently investigating. We will provide a further update when possible. And of course, England's recent off-field issues include Harry Brooks's incident with a nightclub bouncer in Wellington, the team's drinking during a mid-Ashes trip to Noosa, and of course Ben Stokes, none other than Stokes, breaking a team curfew. Former England cricketer Steve Harmison joins us live this lunchtime. Steve, it's a harsh question, but I'll ask it. Is there anything more predictable than England cricketers being caught up in an off-field incident such as the latest one involving Bryden Carse?
Yeah, good morning, Jim. It's not a great look, is it, from the England cricket team, whether it's the wider game of cricket in general. Joe Root has came out, and I thought he's very good, very positive, very concise what he said. When we're taking away the curfew, we're going to ask the players to take responsibility and the owners for their careers. And a player that gets left out of that squad, bear in mind Bryden Carse was in that squad when Joe Root made that statement. Bryden Carse, whether he's been unlucky, by what I've heard, he's a little bit unlucky, but it's just, that statement from the ECB, copy and pasted in it. You're just taking out Wellington, putting in Noosa, and you're taking out Noosa and putting in Derby. This is getting a little bit old hat from the ECB. No matter which way they turn, from an ECB point of view, whether they come down hard on their players and try and basically treat them like school kids by putting a curfew in place, taking a curfew away and saying, look, your responsibility of professional sportsmen and role models within the community and the wider game of cricket is probably the right way to go. And then 5 days later, two of their essentially contracted players are seen in a video, which it doesn't look good. And the ramifications for Durham, for England, and for cricket is just, again, on the front pages.
Steve, I suppose the big question is, why does it keep happening? Do these players not really care when they're out?
We haven't got time, Jim. You've only got 10 minutes. Why is that happening? When you look at it in general, it's a lot. You've got to remember, it's a lot different to football. And I'll ask Martin a question later on, but it's a lot different to football. Cricket, in the sort of first-class game and the domestic game, they aren't on a great deal of money. I'm not defending them here, but cricket has a problem with alcohol. Cricket's got a drinking culture. The England cricket team haven't got a drinking culture. Cricket's got a drinking culture, unfortunately. And when you have players who are either on central contracts or in franchise tournaments around the world, there's no surprise this has happened just off the back of the 100. And I'm not having to go at the 100 here. It's not me digging at the 100. It's just players for a month have been playing 20, been bowling 20 balls twice a week at night time, where they can go out and have a beer and all day recover the next day. Not much practice on it. The onus is flat. It's an entertainment. It's more of a theatre show. It's an entertainment show. It's the 100. And for 4 weeks of the year, players aren't under the ECB banner. Same with the IPL and stuff like that. So I can't give you a reason to say why it's happening. But unfortunately, these players should know better now with, social media and everything that goes around the world. You just can't get away with anything now.
Well, this is it, Steve. I'll bring in Simon and Martin. If it's a culture issue, that's difficult. That's difficult to overcome, Simon, isn't it?
Yeah. I was going to pose the question to Steve, which is half answered in the scenario, because footballers have been down this pathway. We saw back in the day Paul Gascoigne going into clubs and people picking fights with him and altercations coming with footballers. It would appear now that footballers have gotten wiser, perhaps because the domestic game has more control over its players. The domestic game funds it rather than an international game. So the relationship between those that are in authority and those that are the players and the protagonists is probably tighter and closer and more able to coordinate, and people's consequences are easier, visibly reduced. So there might be a maturity in the industry and the construct of the industry. The players themselves have got to take, certainly at this level, England players, the idea that the game has a drinking culture, well, I don't know. I don't know enough about cricket to say that's right or wrong. It doesn't feel like it's right. It doesn't feel like sport at any level can be played at the highest level if you're spending your time drinking alcohol. Athletes, tennis players, elite footballers, they don't have that luxury anymore because otherwise it'll visit itself in their performances.
Yeah.
Steve, have we reached the stage where professional in cricket where during the season we're going to have to say to players, right, it's banned, we're banning alcohol, or would that push it underground and make it even worse? Because in the professional game, I've come through with, we'll say, a series of alcoholics that were playing alongside me, and we saw the damage it was doing. There was more education. It was actually seen as poisoning your body. And then the players who were smart and wanted to buy into that for, okay, we want longevity. We're not going to take alcohol. And now it's not really there. It's not in place. You'd be one of a very few number of players drink if you were drinking now at the highest level. It's been eradicated completely from. It's not a culture now anymore. It certainly was. Is it time now for cricket to do the same?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole wide range of things in there, Martin. I think, like I said before, football's different to cricket. I think what you've got to remember as well, you're trying to ask adults to be adults, and unfortunately, they're not behaving like adults at the top level. I think when you look at the dressing rooms are like a flock of sheep, and you know that more than anybody, Martin, that the 16, 17, 18-year-old will look at the 35, 36-year-old and ask him for advice and watch his every move, hang on his every word. In cricket in the 80s, 90s, and the sort of into the noughties, was even at international level, because there wasn't a great deal of money in the game. It was deemed that at the end of each day's play, there was a drinks list at the end of each day's play. You had a couple of pints, you went to the next part, and you rocked up with a bit of a hangover the next morning. By lunchtime, you had worked it off. Now, cricket has changed. When did football change like that, Martin? You played through them eras, and at some point, this is where I think cricket needs to really wake up in itself. There's a hell of a lot of money in the game now. There's a hell of a lot of scrutiny in the game now, and there's a hell of a lot of accountability and responsibility should be on the players at the top level. If we are looking at something like the 100 with a whole new audience, looking at these players, and I've seen them as role models. Well, they're not behaving like role models, and that, for me, has to change. And I think just to go on this one incident itself, you've got taking Bryden Cast. I'm not digging Bryden out because I've got a huge amount of love for the kid because he's a really, really nice guy, and he's somebody I know very, very well. But he's gone from playing in the 100 for a month to then the end of the 100, 2 days, 3 days later, going into an England squad, being released from an England squad, going into a Durham dressing room. So you're going from 3 different types of environments, and unfortunately, two of them will have alcohol heavily involved and one won't. And the one that won't will be the England one, and the one that has the most consequence. If you lose your England place, you're finished as a cricketer, and all of a sudden your stock drops. So that would be the watchword for anybody.
But shouldn't you, Steve, where's
watching?
Shouldn't it be, it's an honour and a privilege to play for your country. Yeah. And if you've got to make small sacrifices where you don't put yourself into situations where somebody has a pop and you've had a bit of alcohol and maybe you've overreacted. I don't know this particular situation, but these seem to be physical confrontations that these that the cricketers are experiencing when they're out. And it's like, well, okay, then you don't go out. And I can only talk from my own experience, but I never went out. Only at the end of the season did I actually go out in a social situation. To go out with my mates was a once-a-year affair with family and friends because I didn't want to get myself into those situations. I've listened to the Duncan Ferguson podcast recently where he really wishes that he regrets. These guys have got their they've got their cricket careers in front of them. It's only there for a short period, as you know, Steve. I think they need to be more professional, and I think it's time now that the cricketers followed. I know it's a social scene. I've been to the cricket. It's an amazing day out. But let that be for the fans to sit and drink alcohol. The players need to perform.
We're running out of time, but on Cast, and I know you know the boy, detained by police at the scene but not arrested. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen with him? What kind of future has he got?
Well, I think the ECB have got to make a decision whether they keep him in the squad for Lords or not, which starts on Thursday. My suspicion is they won't. But let's not. I want this to be a sort of watershed moment for cricket, and not throw Bryden Cast under the bus and say, right, just completely banish him. Instead of looking at individual problems, look at the systematic problem that we have in this country that look with the cricket. And I think that is the issue. Like Martin says, I think football learned very, very quickly when the money got and social media and everything that came, it had to change. I think cricket does. I mean, I'm one to throw stones. My professional life, I regret a hell of a lot of things in what I did when I look back at how I was professionally. But that was a different time. I think we have to look at this and think we've got to get better. And unfortunately for Bryden, if he's the scapegoat for that, then cricket's got to draw a line in the sand somewhere, because we can't keep having these conversations, because it's embarrassing.
Steve, I want to thank you for joining us. Steve Harmison, former England cricketer. And you spoke from the heart there, Martin. I think you've got the best of intention for the sport and the cricketers, in that if there is a persistent problem, and seemingly there is,
it's not about
there's only one solution.
Yeah, but you're not punishing one individual. You're setting now, this is now going to have to be the behaviour for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, he wasn't arrested, by the way, at the weekend, was he? He was let go. Yeah. So, but I think the rules have to be from above. They have to be harsher.
If we're making it as broad as Steve says it is, which is the culture in the game, then those that run the game have to take a greater responsibility for the professionalisation of it all.
True.
So if you're running first-class cricket and you're running Durham, or you're running Surrey or Glamorgan or Sussex or Warwickshire or whichever, Northants or whichever county cricket club it is, in conjunction with the ECB, surely it's on your brief and on your watch, if it is indeed a culture, that you need to take responsibility for the sport that you purport to represent. And if that means you want to introduce alcohol bans or introduce cultural responsibility for people's behaviour, which involves people getting sanctioned, people getting fined, people getting suspended for playing for a cricket club,
then do it.
Then that's what you should be doing. It doesn't feel that difficult to me.
No. We're with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
So this summer has gone from bad to worse for Villa. Unai Emery, Morgan Rogers and Yuri Tielemans already gone, of course. And now it looks like Konza, that's the big one, is on his way to the Arsenal. Now let's bring in another Gabby, who must be delighted. Gabby the Gunner, who has called us in 03717 22 3344. Gabby, a very good morning.
Dry your eyes, Gab. I know it's hard to take, but Concer's made his mind up. There's plenty more fish in the sea. Dry your eyes, Gab. I know you want to make Concer see how much his pain hurts, but you've got to walk away now. It's over. Sorry, Gab. And Alan, welcome back, sir.
Thanks,
I'm
mate.
so pleased you've got a fit bill of health.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you.
No, I'm good, Gabby. Thank you very much, mate. I was missing this, so I'm back.
Missing you.
He's not missed you, mate.
Missing you, Alan.
He ain't missed you, Gabby.
Oh, he always misses me. It's you he doesn't miss, Gab.
Well,
Come on,
can I
brother.
ask you a
Don't
question,
Gab in
though?
Essex.
You
Go
know,
on, mate.
spending what you spent again this summer, is the minimum Champions League and Premier League for Arsenal?
Oh, Gab, listen, you've got always got. He'd make a great
asking you.
politician, wouldn't he, Alan? He really would make
I'm
a
asking
great
you.
politician.
Are you closer to winning the Champions League with these signings?
I still think we're short of one exceptional striker. I think Osimhen, Alvarez, that's kind of the missing link. It could be enough with Solis and with the guys we've got.
Now, Premier League All Access podcast is available with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Troy Deeney reflecting on a thrilling opening weekend of Premier League action. Troy also weighed in on the talk surrounding Ollie Watkins' future. Here he is defending the Villa forward while questioning Unai Emery's man management track record.
Is Emery right for how he treated Harvey Elliott last year?
Great question.
You know, like, do you know when a manager leaves a player out, it's never a question on the manager and how bad or did he do or anything wrong.
By the same token, the Martinelli thing, right?
100%. But then, like, a player drops out and it's like, oh, he's not, you know, they're playing him, so why should he be there? What, to get injured? And then you, like, just throw me off to the side anyway. You don't know what the conversations have been like. I just think for Unai Emery, while he's a top coach and all of those things are fantastic, I think the other side to it is, if he doesn't like you, he mugs you off better than anybody. If I'm Garnacho, you just brought me in and you bring me on with, what, 3 or 4 minutes left?
I mean, that doesn't bode well.
Well, I mean, whether you like Garnacho or not, and I'm not his biggest fan, like, there's a human level, right? You've just brought me in, we're losing, and you give me some pity minutes, and you think that's going to make me feel better. I'm not here for the whole Unai Emery, you know, everyone should turn around and go, oh, look, he's trying his best. He creates problems as well, by the way.
Sam and Alex, shoulder to shoulder on that leather sofa. If you're watching on YouTube there, that episode's available now on all podcast platforms. What do you make of it? What Troy's saying there?
Well, obviously...
He's got a point about Garnacho, isn't he?
Well, maybe. I mean, we don't know the context. Obviously, Troy's man management skills as a manager were well ably exhibited at Forest Green. So with that in mind, I think that Unai Emery has been a very successful manager that knows his way around managing players. All managers will have issues with players at certain times. Players are very difficult commodities to be able to handle. They're very, very difficult in this day and age. It requires a completely different skill set, which is why I wasn't prepared to pile in on Pep Guardiola's emotional outbursts in the dressing room, because it may be the way that you have to communicate with modern-day footballers now, which is bare your soul, go down to their level, that they can relate to you. I don't know. But I think he's probably wrong. I think there may well be a reason why Garnacho was given 3 or 4 minutes at the end of the game. And may well be a reason that Unai Emery is handling Ollie Watkins in a certain way. Both of the two parts of this conversation.
Yeah.
Ollie Watkins, in our perception, is a player that you would think wouldn't operate this way. Unai Emery is a manager that's been able to extract masterful performances and achievements out of Aston Villa.
Yeah.
Two things can be true at the same time. The integrity of Ollie Watkins' position of wanting to go to Al Hilal as a footballing move for an international footballer is not about football, it's about money. So that brings a different dimension into the conversation about what is really right for Ollie Watkins to be doing. There is no excuse. If we find the facts, and none of us know it, that Ollie Watkins has stood himself down,
fair enough.
He has no right to do that, and Unai Emery can handle it how he sees fit.
The fact of the matter is, at the end of the World Cup final,
he gets fired, the player doesn't, by the way.
Spain won and Argentina lost. Argentina's players and staff have been handed bans totaling 21 matches following that mass altercation at the end of the game against Spain. Leandro Paredes, villain of the piece, banned for 10 matches, Martin, after appearing to grab Eric Garcia by the throat and he threw Gavi to the ground. Molina has been banned for 7 matches, being seen to strike Rodri in the stomach. Paredes and Molina have also been fined £90,000. On and on it goes. Roberto Ayala, team official, suspended for 3 matches for assault. When you look at it, how tough are the punishments here, Martin? Are they being very, very strong here, FIFA? Because as I remember it, you guys way back in 2003, you get hit in the pocket and banned as well. The Van Nistelrooy incident. A load of you.
Oh, hold on. You're comparing the two together, are you?
I'm not comparing.
So
but
these were punches that were being thrown.
Yeah.
I think I jumped in the air. I don't think you saw me throw a punch. So
no.
Can we separate that, please, between the two?
You get 3
You can't use that as an example.
What did you get a 3-match ban and a 20 grand fine for then?
Well, because they felt that our behaviour went too far. But these are the punishments. But it was very different. I mean, if you look at that, the world platform, which the World Cup we
of
saw,
course.
Paredes was throwing punches. I mean, it was ridiculous what was happening in that situation, Jim.
It's a 10-match
how
ban
unsporting
right for him.
Yeah, I think it's right and proper. I mean, if you think about it in international terms, it's a year, because you ain't going to, 10 games, you're lucky to play 10 international games in a year. So, and I think the football needed to do that. because it was a shock. I actually think the Spanish players did really well to contain themselves, because it just could have gone to a free-for-all. It would have just detracted from...
Fascinating to see if the Argentinian FA appeal against it and get it reduced through the back door.
Well,
all of a sudden it becomes less. Of course, this was a huge football match in a huge worldwide global event. This is a domestic fixture with different consequences, different ramifications. This is an international framework now, which has a different sort of circumstances surrounding it. So I think that FIFA have done what they should do. I mean, I also would like to see Thomas Tuchel banned from managing England, but that's a different discussion for different reasons, for lack of guts. But the bottom line in this situation is that these players behaved appallingly. They were an embarrassment to their country. And what would be even more disconcerting is if the Argentinian FA actually tried to appeal against it.
Oh, true. And as for Paredes, I mean, he's got form the length of your arm. So, I mean, 10-match ban for him and fined 90 grand. Good luck with that. All right. Arsenal Invincible, Martin Keown. You've got a busy week coming up?
Yes. Going to the Champions League draw on Thursday in Monaco.
Oh, are you?
Should be, I'm sure you'll be covering that, Jim.
Of course we will.
It all starts again.
Might even have a word with your good self, if we're going to be that lucky.
Oh, maybe.
Martin, thank you for that. As for you, I shall see you tomorrow. You get your polo neck on. You've now decided it's autumn.
Weather, I think it's going to be hotter again tomorrow, isn't it? Slightly warmer again tomorrow.
I don't know. We'll have a look at the forecast. Paul and Andy are next. It's 1 o'clock.
I've got a league table in front of me. Guess who's